Well, yes, hello. I am James Rodens, and today it's the WNR 576. It's the NXT update with Heatwave and Homecoming. And luckily, I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by our resident NXT expert, New Japan demigod, and now honorary House of Torture member. It is Monty. What up, punk?
Oh my God! I didn't think you were gonna actually add that to the intro, so it kind of took me aback. But now I'm very, very thankful that you remembered your place and remember, who is now a member of House of Torture. And uh, you know, I may be a member of House of Torture, but this is NXT, so I'm not gonna be too evil on this particular broadcast. Or at least I'm gonna try not to be. But we are talking about, like I said, our I don't know. I was about to call it illegitimate child, but at this point, I think we can pretty much claim her because NXT is in much better shape than it was at other times of this review. So, yeah, man, it's always cool to check in on NXT, and also again, kind of get especially with things that literally just happened yesterday, as of us recording this, we always get this nice review of the future because not to I don't think I'm ruining anything by saying this, but watching Stephanie Valkyrie versus Io, or at least I caught up on it, and I saw her do her finish, or at least one of her finishes, and people were just like, "Oh my God, look! Why was she doing that other move when she could do the spiral tap move?" And I was like, "See, if you watched NXT, you would have known she could do that from day one because she did it multiple times in NXT, So that's the type of viewpoint you get when you do this show and when you are the NXT experts that we are. We got a nice viewpoint into the future, and some fans don't even get to know. Like maybe that makes me a little jaded, but at the same time, I kind of take pride in it. They're like, yeah, oh no, I knew Stephanie could do that move wait months before she ever did it on the main roster. So
Yeah, and again with Homecoming as well, it has brought back a lot of memories, which I'm sure we will talk about. I mean,
yeah,
we've been doing this now like 5 years, man. I mean, I'm doing it 10, but again, it just seems like a lot more's happened in the last five than the first, if you know what I mean. So, and again, it's crazy to actually be here, and like I said, to have a look, and we've got a lot to catch up on with NXT, Wells Clyde, Heatwave, and Homecoming. And let's not forget, we are live on YouTube. I forget to do it as we start, just in case. Do you know what I mean? But again, hopefully you listen to us, and if you do, then just let know what you think about anything. We don't mind. But we're going to start with a bit of sad news. And former multi-time world boxing champion Ricky the Hitman Hatton passed away at the age of 46. He, of course, had I say, memorable moment in WWE. I mean, Monty, not many people can say he wrestled Chavo and boxed Mayweather, but it was a bit of a shock.
yeah, man, it's definitely a shock. The pride of Hyde or the people's champion. Know a little bit about Ricky Hadden. Again, like you said, his wrestling legacy might not be the most memorable when it comes to like the Chavo stuff, but it's insane, man. To think about when you just mention the age, and it's just like wow, so young to hear that and just uh, he's such a good fighter and left such a great legacy. Just from the welterweight and light welterweight divisions and all of that, and just like what he did in combat sports, leaking into his impact into like being an entertainer and wrestling and stuff like that. Like you said, not too many people ever say they did both Chavo and then having fights with Floyd Mayweather, but yeah, man, he left a legacy, and it was one of those situations where it's always tough hearing about it. But it's like I always kind of like I know a lot of people don't like to relate the two, but boxing, MMA, combat sports, and the same thing kind of goes with wrestling. I do kind of look at them in the same vein, and it always really sucks when you lose one so soon. Or it's not you never really ever prepare for it. So even if he was 60 something, it would have sucked. But like mid 40s, man, like it really took me aback when I read the news.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, like I said, it is a shock. And he's a guy, that's exactly really well known in Britain. And, he was a fan of Oasis kind of growing up and obviously a Man City fan. And he managed to not only have a fight in the Etihad Stadium, which is Man City's home stadium, but
Yeah,
Oasis walked him out for a boxing fight as well. So I know
so
it's
cool.
a horrible age, but, he got to live his dream, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. Lived a hell of a life. Lived multiple dreams. And so like that's one thing you can say. And he left an impact. And like I said, he was a really good fighter. And like I said, a legend in his own right. And to kind of you don't really want to get wrapped up in that. You kind of just want to, when after it happens like that, you want to kind of celebrate the life that he had. And like you said, it's kind of just, but it's like when I think about the age, it's just like one of those reminders that you never know. It doesn't really matter. I know we all think that we're gonna, that it could be 75, 80 years, 90 years on this earth. We all hope and pray to get there. But yeah, man, you never know. So you gotta go as hard as you can and gotta enjoy every day that you have. So that's kind of what I take away from it too when I think about that age.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, if you listen to update for the first time, we're not usually this, we are, have fun and jokes and all this. Like, we're going
What
to
an
start
intro.
right now. Yeah. We're going to start with Heatwave and end with Homecoming with a bit of TNA and AAA sprinkled in. And on Impact, August 22nd, Trick Williams' contract states he does not have to defend the title for another 50 days.
Horrible contract.
I mean, what the fuck is that about?
What the fuck
With so
tried
many
that?
defenses and then 50 days.
Oh my god! Like who the hell signed? Was Santino Morella? What were you smoking, or whoever is supposed to be responsible for signing that contract? What a loophole!
I know, interesting. August 24th was Heat Wave, and the kickoff was Mega Moran and Sam Robertsberg in studio for an hour, and there was no need. And it turned into TNA with classic Heat Wave moments. Who can forget Bron versus JD McDonough? Sit down with Tavian Heights, and still we got to sit down with Obafemi. And the action of Heat Wave kicked off with a women's number one contendership triple threat match featuring Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Lola Vice. Parker tried to assert her dominance early, but Vice and Jordan sent her out the ring with some teamwork for focusing on each other. Once Parker recovered and got back in, she took out both opponents at the same time. There was never a lull in action because they started taking turns. One woman would sell for a bit while the other fought, and they would cycle and rinse repeat. It's a familiar pattern, but we're used to it. All three of these as well proved they can go, so there's no shortage of fun. And again, it never felt like three competitors had a clear advantage over each other anyway. But Vice ended up securing the win to earn a future title shot. I know it's a long time ago, Monty, but what were your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it being enjoyable, at least solid, a solid opener. It wasn't the best. I think when I watched the match, to me, and it wasn't because I picked her. It's like part of why I picked Kalani going into this was because of what you kind of saw in this match. Like I think out of the three, by far, in my opinion, she's the most polished and just seemed to have it the most put together with her move set and with the moves she do in the ring. Now I do know I've been one of the main ones telling you or saying from the beginning for Kalani. What she really needs to work on is the personality and the attitude outside the ring, and I think that might be partially why she wasn't the victor here, even though she pinned the champ before this. So and then we going into it like, and then I saw that not only did you pick her, but I know a lot of people wanted Jada to win this, but what does she do have going for her? That personality and that attitude. So we know everything about her as a character that we need to know. It's more so about putting the pieces together more consistently in the ring. So Lola was a little bit of a wild card for me because I didn't think she was really featured enough, in my opinion, to see her coming out on top. So it was. I will say this: if I do have a criticism for the match, it was like you said. I know we're used to the formula, but that's kind of like the problem is that it felt like a formula. Like I think you can kind of say this is one of those like your turn, my turn, do your thing type of triple threats, and it was like it was fine. I think everybody, like you said, proved that they had a good foundation for going, but I would love to see more drama or more of a narrative into a match with these type of stakes because we are talking about a chance at the top prize for the women. But Lola Women was a nice shock because again I thought with her obligations that she had going on, coming being spending time in AAA along with doing NXT from time to time, I didn't think that she would be the pick going forward. But she's also improved in her own ways. too. Even though I would kind of say she kind of got a little bit of both of the criticism that I got for Jada and Kalani, to where it's like I think she's okay in the ring, but she could be better. And the same thing with her personality is like, all right, I love everybody loved the dance. We know she got the look, but like, what else do to her personality that we can actually take serious, that we can, build on going forward? And that's kind of like what she has to work on. So I think all three have their strengths and all three have their flaws. But congratulations to Lola.
Yeah, this was a great way to start the show. Finish looked a bit naff to me, and I don't know about you. There's no Corey on commentary, but it didn't sound like there was a lot of people there, and I don't know if it was a case of kind of people maybe filling in for it, or just maybe just a general atmosphere, or just me, you know.
I'm not gonna say just you, but you are one of the only people I know who notice stuff like that just by the way something sounds. But what I will say is that I early in the show I will say it definitely felt like an atmospheric thing where it just felt like people, like you said, maybe people were just checking in, but it definitely didn't feel like energy of a PLE or even an AEW pay per view opener where it felt like everybody's warmed up. So I don't
Mm,
know, like you said, maybe people need to check in, maybe they needed something to keep them going. We talk about NXT. One thing I will say, and I do think the roster is big enough. It would be nice if they started giving people something like a sort of a kickoff match or something, even if it's not a match. But like coming in fight, or if you're gonna do that, then you need to come in with probably more of your experienced talent leading off the show to hype everybody up. But I felt like it was more of an atmospheric thing. I don't know if it felt empty or not.
yeah. So out of five, then what would you score the opener?
I'll give it 3.5. I didn't, again. I thought it was all solid, but like I said, I think the if you want to be hypercritical of the match, I do think they did have a little bit. It was a little too formulaic, but I give it 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a four. Predictions on this, of course, the WNR prediction league, and I don't know really why we're doing this anymore. We should just really stop, shouldn't we? You know, like the predictions were fun for maybe the first couple of years, but
When
now,
you were when
like,
you were
I've just
doing well.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe we should have a little rethink and come up with something
Okay,
different.
we'll talk it out with the girls. See what they say.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be happy. But the prediction league, of course, we do three prediction leagues. The bonus league, this is after Clash and G1, but before Heatwave. So the bonus league at the moment, Monty's on 18, James and Jaxie on 15, Gina on 12. With WWE, I'm on 4, Jaxie Gina on 6, Monty on 8. In AEW, I'm yet to score. Jackson on 1, Gina on 2, Monty on 4. But it's not about how well we're doing there. It's how well we're doing tonight. And Gina and James went for Parker. Monty went for Jordan. And Jaxie went for Lola. So Jaxie's 1-0 up. You're not listening to this anyway. I'm not going to have a go at her just in case she is. Well, the Culling had a get together afterwards. Of course, this being WWE, they will question themselves about should they be together as a group. And then the NXT tag titles on the line when Hank and Tank defending the belts against two members of Dark State. But we didn't find out who they were going to be until the match started. It ended up being Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox who represented the group. Chacon Sugars was playing some mind games before the match got started. And Dark State used the numbers advantage to take control early and maintained the upper hand, keeping the champions isolated. Tank eventually got the hot tag and started going on a rampage. He was even going after the guys at ringside who weren't in the match. But after some interference from Cutler James, Lennox and Griffin got the pin to become your new NXT Tag Team Champions. Monty, what are your thoughts?
Uh, I thought this was fine. This probably went the exact way I kind of uh, you know, felt like it would go based on just the way I kind of think about the tag division and what I kind of thought about what was necessary. I thought this was a pretty good showcase of what some of the I mean what Osiris and Dion could do. But I also think really if you look at this match, Hank and Tank kind of outshined them and actually looked. I mean, as they probably should. They are the better team in this situation, and like you really realize. I thought, and after realizing this match, how strong of a chemistry that they kind of have. So it's kind of I don't understand this trend or why it feels like NXT is doing like I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but it's like kind of like with Fraction where it's like you got that one team who we know got it down, then we got a lot of other people that need to work on it, and then as far as like right now with Hank and Tank, I feel like Hank and Tank feels like that now after they beat Francis. Like Yeah, well, they got great chemistry, and I love the energy they bring to their matches. But do how much do I really care about everybody else? So it's like we still feeling the lasting effects of having Fraxium, and I do believe some of that comes back to the fact that even when Fraxium was in the division, everybody was feeling like they were trying to catch up to them, and now we're in the same boat where the team that beat Fraxium, even though they lost here, still feel like they're leaps and bounds ahead of the next best. But I did think this was necessary. Dark State have been running around, doing whatever they've been doing, claiming like if you listen to their promos, you would think they've been more impactful than they actually have been. So they needed this victory. They needed some type of feather in their cap right now to kind of give them some legitimacy. But at the same time, I think Hank and Tank also kind of need them to build themselves up because we all know that eventually Hank and Tank most likely will get the belts back and be back on top because they just are the best team that we have right now to offer in NXT. So I think it'll be more entertaining with them chasing most likely trying to get Dark State and maybe we can also take time to build other teams up while they're doing that. But I thought this was the necessary action, even if I thought Hank and Tank looked like the better team here even though I thought the match overall was just solid. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I think you've covered my 3 points, which were, of course, this wasn't terrible. It was time for Dark State to step up, and of course, I miss Fraxium. You know, it's like, I have to
Exactly.
say it.
Like that's the biggest that's the hole they left us with. Though. Like you can't help but look at where we are and be like, dang, Fraction really left us wishing for more.
Oh, I miss him. Out of five, then what would you give this?
I don't know. I'll 3 and 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3 and 3/4 as well. Prediction: we all went Dark State. So Jackson's on two, the rest on one. What happened to them not knowing anything about NXT? Anyway, I'll leave it there. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. The TNA Knockouts title was on the line next when JC Jane put the belt up against Masa Slamovich and Ash by Elegance. After the initial exchange, Jackson spilled out the ring when Masha took out the entire Fatal Influence stable with a suicide dive. Jasmine Nix was caught cheating and booted for ringside, which made no sense because there's no disqualifications in triple threat matches. But anyway, the Elegance brand was there. They ended up putting Jane out of the ring, which allowed Ash to hit a finisher on Masha to get the win and become the new Knockouts champion. And the Elegance brand held all the gold as they celebrated the victory. Monty, I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, another triple threat match with the women, but I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. Like,
I actually feel like I was harsh on Jada and them when I think about this one because I forgot this is the same night. But to be fair, I don't want to go too hard because I was kind of in my own way. I know you don't too much care for Ash or the former Dana, but in my own kind of way, it was cool to see her get that because again, I like when you get fired. I know I'm looking at it from like the perspective of people who've been released and how what can possibly go through your mind. You think you'll never get a chance on a platform like WWE again, and instead of putting her head down and just like giving up where she could have, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't have minded if she did. She worked hard and went to Impact, tried rebranding herself slowly but surely, and to kind of get this moment on a WWE platform is kind of ironic in a sense, even though to me it does kind of feel like weird too, because it's like, would this even happen? Like, would she ever become like an Impact champion if we wasn't all under the same TKO WWE umbrella now? That's a interesting thought process for me. But I'm not mad at the result as much as I am kind of like it happening the way it did. Like you mentioned, it's a triple threat match, man. And then like I don't have a problem with the Elegant brand getting involved. They're supposed to. It's no DQ, right? That's what they usually are. But you send Jasmine Nix away, and she does, and we don't get the what I was expecting. And I'm pretty much sure what you was expecting because you knew we would have a lot of interference on both sides, and then maybe Masha could take advantage. But I just like to me that's probably the biggest thing. The biggest thing to me is like what why it feels very WWE. That's all I'll say about that because it's like what's the point of having Masha here? In my opinion, almost. Even though she looks strong, don't get me wrong. It's just like she's so good, and like I don't think she's even scratched the
mm,
surface of how good, how her real potential. But it reminded me of not necessarily. It's reminding me of stuff you said about where we at with Joe Hendry now. It's just like, why are we doing it this way? If we doing it, if we're going to do it, why execute it in this way to make two potential stars look as weak as possible almost? Even though in the end, Masha may be the one standing with the belt in a few months. Who knows? But still, I'm just like that. That's kind of like where I was standing there. So I can only imagine what you thought with this match because you know more, even more about Impact than I do. But I was happy for Dana, the performer, and
Mm.
all of that. And then watching the YouTube videos of them kind of showing Ash's reaction with Sean and him saying, "I told you you'll be back" and all that. I was like, "That's cool, that's sweet." But it was definitely like, did y'all do this just for that moment? After that, just to say that, oh look, we gave Dana a feel good moment here, or is it a purpose to doing this? And then when it comes to Jason James, you kept warning that you thought her Impact run would be short run, and that's fine. It's just for me, if we're gonna do this, if you're gonna do this anyway, same thing with like Trick. I don't know where we're gonna end up with Trick, but whoever wins, in my opinion, we need to. I feel like we gotta make them look like $1 million. And as good as I do think Ash looked good for coming out on top. I don't think you made like some big star because of this. So now it's like, what the hell did we give Jason this achievement for? Like she could,
Mm.
like the way we end up changing the belt, you could have kept Masha with the belt and she just lost it in a triple threat to Ash, and we wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like you could have inserted anybody else in this spot almost, and the way they end up executing. So I just end up asking the question like, what was the end goal of this, and why did we even do this double champ thing with JC if this is how it's going to end? That's kind of where I ended up at.
The thing is, though, I mean, again, how petty WWE are, and I don't care how many of the diehards or anything like that. I am old enough to remember when Taz became ECW champion and they booked him to lose to Triple H on SmackDown just because they could. And again, this JC Jane thing was just because they could say she was the first woman to knock out an NXT champion. And it was the worst way to do it as well, to have her not pinned. I know she's NXT Women's Champion, but don't have her have the Knockouts Championship as well, you know.
Exactly.
And again, there's no way I was going Ash. So
Right.
Ash
And I get
is
that.
Ash is better than Dana Brooke, I will say, and Jane has got better. But as you mentioned, Mash is a real worker, and again, we wouldn't be surprised if she ended up in NXT. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the way it seems to be happening at this moment in time.
True. She could be in that spot. I just don't understand. Like, all right, so, and I agree. Because like I said before, it seemed like Joe is gonna end up there too, right? Like, I think we
Mm.
both can see Joe there too. But why why the hell do they feel like, oh well, let's just take them both off their great runs and winning streaks before we end up eventually signing them maybe? Like what's the point of doing that? Like do we gotta and I guess to be fair, they kind of did the Jordan too because we can both agree they've kind of slowly but surely been like, well, let's make sure we know the internet and everybody knows how great Jordan is. Let's make sure we bring her down to the level of the other women here by making her lose as much as
Yeah,
we can. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what
that's
it
true.
feels like. And I'm just like, are we doing that to Masha too? Where it's like, and like you said, she's the real worker. She has the potential and can only get better. But like, let's just try to, like I said, bring her down to the level of the JCs by making her lose here to Ash and all of that. I don't know. It's just you can't help but wonder that because we don't have any. Like you said, I can't even argue with the Jason James thing because I'm of the thing where they gotta have some type of plan. No, sometimes it's just to say we did something cool
We
for
got yeah.
somebody that you didn't expect. We just did it. Okay, whatever. Like I hate those type of decisions though. So again, it's no fault to any other women or nobody that's been put in the situation. You do what you ask, but it's just like, okay, so you just gave me all these weeks of television with for nothing, and you weren't even really trying to build her up. But now for the rest of her career in NXT, she gonna walk around saying, "Oh, I was the first woman to do this," and she's like, "Okay, whatever." And Dana Brooke
Mm.
beat you.
Yeah, and again, another thing that just annoys me, but Jane and Masha really should have a conversation because they could be attacked in with a color
they
scheme
they
that
always
they have
match.
got. I
They
just come on,
always
guys, come
match.
on. Out of five, listen, what would you give it?
Okay, I got I think I gave the other one three. I'm giving this one 3 1/4.
Three and a quarter. I'm gonna give it a four. Um, but it is a dark day in the knockouts division. Predictions. Monty went Jane, the rest went Masha, so it's still Jaxie 2, rest 1. We did really well there. Javon got a pep talk from
She went
Ricky and
off.
Saints. Yeah, Saint said he wants next, and then we got Blake Monroe versus Jordan Grace. I also forgot how many women's matches on the card. It's great. Monroe hit a slap and then immediately regretted it and tried to run from Grace. The Juggernaut eventually caught up with her and pounded her into the mat. Once Monroe had control, she slowed the pace down a bit and started using submissions to keep Grace grounded. Grace should have been out for blood, not trying to work her normal style though, but the bottom turnbuckle pad was removed and allowed Monroe to stomp Grace's head into it before pinning her for the win. Monty, I've got something really creepy to say. So I will get your thoughts on the match first before I say it.
Jeez. Now you got my mind racing on what you possibly about to reference. Anyway, I thought this was great. I love both ladies. Uh, this is why I think Mariah May is just the same way Stephanie's rise to being where she is kind of a thing that ended up being like a no brainer, and like it seems simple. And it happened so fast, but it's because sometimes you don't need to make these things wait. You just need to go ahead and do it because I think we all can see it. And I think Mariah is gonna be another one to where it's like, oh yeah, just give it time, and we're gonna. It's obvious that especially as a bag as a heel, but even if she wants to be a face, but really, but as a heel and her style and the way she can mix in being physical and she always kind of got that crazy thing about her that we all know that place that she can go. So she got that mean streak, and then she has like a great style, like it's physical and it's submission. Because if you go off just looks, you don't think she'll be able to match a Jordan, but Jordan, she does a great job of using that, like you said, the submissions and the physicality to match up with Jordan's power. And I thought they wrestled a really good match. You know, maybe it should have been a little bit more brutal based on the things they said, but this is partially why I thought maybe the heel turn was enough because I felt like the talk was cool and it did I guess make the talk added a personal element that they didn't even need. I thought this was good really without any of it. But I do think when you think about the talk and you add in the story they were trying to tell, it's like, oh no, we need you guys to be trying to kill each other. But they went out there and they wrestled a really good match and it was some tough spots in it too. So I really enjoyed this man. Really strong match. Probably the most fun that I was having up to this point of the night. Like it really they really stepped it up, and I felt like oh, okay, now we really now this is like one of the real events of the main events to me of the show. Not only because of who we have in the ring, but like the energy that they brought going into this
Mm,
match.
yeah. All right. How can I say this without sound like a creep?
I don't know if you can.
No, I don't think I can. So Jordan Grace, I've been a fan of for a very long time. Watched her in Impact, obviously TNA, and I don't know if it was her outfit, but her chest looked a lot bigger. And again, I'm not saying anything about it. You know, not that I pay close attention or anything like that. And it doesn't matter what I say. I'm just a sad, lonely man who lives with his mum. But I did think her top bollocks looked a bit different. As for the match, I mean, it was all right, but you
We
know,
just don't let you say that. I ain't
yeah,
got nothing.
no,
No comment.
no, we move on. The match was all right, you know, both can do, but again, what I know both can do, it was maybe a little bit disappointing, but I think the hardcore match and the series that we should get will be better, you know, between the two. But this is just the start. Like we said, we're building foundations here.
Yeah, and again, I'm with you, but I just knew. I know. I think I came into it with lower expectations because I knew that this wasn't it. Like I just know that they're not gonna leave us with one match. So like I kind of wanted them to pull their punches to an extent because even though but that's another reason why again I said we could have kept some of the talk out of it. Maybe you add the talk after the first match because I felt like the betrayal was enough to get us to this point where we were with this match. But yeah, I agree that where we're going after this, I'm pretty sure they're gonna definitely try to kill each other in that one. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah, it
it.
was gonna be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
So what would you
it's not.
score it out of five then?
Like I said, I was into it though. Like again, even though I know that they can even go harder, the fact that I'm telling you right now that this felt like a 4.25 just should kind of let you know how high I'm probably gonna rate the next fight if they do what I think we know they can.
Mm. I was still going to give it 4.5. This was good. Predictions: the girls went for Grace, the boys went for Moreau. So it means that we're all on. No, are
Finally
we on
got
two?
something
No,
wrong.
you. Jaxie and I are on 2. Gina is on 1. My God, once you don't care about the predictions, they really do become a mess. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
Lash Lash chatted shit in the dressing room. JC Jane blamed Jasmine, who wouldn't, and Lola will face her at No Mercy. Interesting. And then we see Zaruka show up, and that's their PLE appearance. Chelsea Green and Ethan Page versus Tavian Heights and Tyra May Still next. And Still and Heights has some special gear made for this match. Green and Page had matching gear as well, which I appreciate. And the
Oh
women got the
yeah.
match started, much to Green's chagrin. She tried to attack Still from behind, but ended up gator rolled all over the ring. And despite this match taking place in the good old US of A, it felt the crowd was pro Canadian,
Oh
which
my
caused
goodness.
Page to grab a mic and said they would not give him any citizenship in an attempt to get the fans behind the baby faces again. Alba Firepipe even got involved and helped Green get the win by pinning Still. But Monty, you know you're in trouble when you have to grab that mic and try and get your heat back.
Oh my gosh, bro. And the internet too. The funny thing about it, it wasn't just. And I'm happy this happened. But before I get into why, but the internet also was like, "Oh, Team Canada for the most part." Like watching, like looking at people tweet about this match was just like, "Yeah, man, this did not go that I'm the way I'm sure." Especially, but I'm gonna be honest with you, even as the American, your resident American here, uh, yeah, man. When I saw that gear, I was like, "Oh man, why did I pick this team?" I was just like, "Oh, I don't want to go. I don't know. I don't need. I'm not in. Obviously, uh, we're not in the best place right now. And not even I don't even want to just make that like that's exclusive to America. There's a lot of stuff going on everywhere, and this is not even as bad as it has gotten yet. We haven't even nowhere near where we are now, weeks later. But the point I'm making about that is that this storyline is outdated. It just is, and I think that's the proof of it. The fact that you can't even get, I don't know where he took place to be exact in the country. Let's see. Oh, that's Massachusetts. So I'm pretty sure they were because if you know anything about American history, that is some they're in a very patriotic area. So that's literally New England, so to speak, of America. So like you would expect, I'm assuming what Sean them expected with Boogie. So this is gonna be easy. But that's not necessarily as easy as it probably would have been maybe in the South. Like maybe if they was in Florida, this could have worked better for them because if I know it again, I don't want to explain our country's geography to you, but the point is you probably could get that off in the South and be fine. But right now, I just like the angle itself is just, in my opinion, is just outdated, and it's reflected in my opinion, the crowd's reaction to it because I think people can see through it. Not only are we talking about two very extremely entertaining and everybody know Ethan Page and Chelsea Carter. I mean Chelsea Carter. Oh my goodness, who am I talking about? Chelsea Green. Yeah, we all see that their chemistry is great for each other, and they knocking the character out of the park. So like that's already a part of it. And then you have newcomers who we don't really know yet. Like the only thing we kind of have about you guys is that, oh, okay, gold medalist, America, yay. So the only thing they got to cheer for is just your country allegiance. But it's like that's not really. It's not. You have to do a lot more than that for a lot of crowds these days to kind of keep their interest. And then, like I said, you kind of was up against it because it is Chelsea and Ethan, like I said, who are just very, very entertaining and good at their job. So I kind of felt for the youngsters because it was like I don't know if they were ever been like in. I'm pretty sure they haven't, especially on this platform, been in that spot where the crowd is just not on your side, and it's supposed to be your job to galvanize them and have them going against the bad guys. And like you said, to the point where they literally were begging the crowd to give them the heat that they're looking for. Like, yeah, you don't ever want to have to get to that point. But again, the match itself was okay, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was happy because me and you, we kind of just shitted on the concept because we already immediately knew where we thought this was going because we've been longtime fans. That is where it usually goes. So I was pleasantly surprised that they decided to go with Chelsea and Ethan here to get the win. Because again, usually when this takes place, America is not losing, right? So it was pretty good. I do give them props for that. for kind of making me go like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, the match itself, I mean, I'm not gonna act like I thought this was a good match either, though. It was okay, but again, I want to give those the youngsters grace.
Yeah. I mean, being anti-American ain't what it used to be. You know, like I said, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting
Exactly.
older, whatever it was, but again, but this is the issue when the heels are more likable than the baby faces.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think against someone like Javon and Jada Parker, I think Paige and Green would have been booed out of the building,
Mm,
you know?
true, 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 true,
Um,
true. Because you got, but you have again that kind of goes back to what I'm saying about we already have more with those characters than just they're
mm,
American. So
yeah.
people would definitely be more into that.
And Green could turn face tomorrow, but there is nothing likable about Ethan Page, but in a great way. I mean, he just
Right, right.
has the respect of the NXT crowd. He has smashed it. We talked
Green
about it.
would be a huge baby face, but I don't want her to ever do it. She what makes her so cool is the fact that it is how bad she wants, or at least she wants that take that character. I think as soon as they turn her face, WWE will ruin it. That's my problem. That's my only fear with it. They just
Yeah,
ruin the
no,
way
it's,
they
yeah,
compete.
yeah, yeah.
Like
It's true.
what makes
But
her
then,
great is that freedom, you know.
yeah, but I love the hot mess characters. She can kind of tap into that as well, like
True.
slowly losing it, you know, after a while, then maybe we can see it. But anyway, back to Ethan Page, because even this twisted grin finisher is about what he did to Javon to get his edge back. So there's all little things with Ethan Page in NXT at this moment in time, you know.
Call them
And
up.
Page, yeah, he remains unbeaten in a heat wave as well. Should we talk about it? Which is good. And Piper was wrestling in Ireland on Friday, which was interesting. But again, like I said, the two veterans making sure the match was good. You know, I think that'd be fair to say. What would you score
Right.
out of five?
I give that 3.5 also. Again, I wasn't the most into the maybe it's because I didn't care for the storyline or the angle either, but I thought the kids did what they could. You know, you and like you said, they were kind of up against it just based on who they were going against almost. So yeah, I thought they did well, but I give it 3.5 overall.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a four. Predictions. The boys, we went, the guys, the girls got it right with the hills. So Jaxie's in lead 3-2 for the rest
Mm,
of them. So
right.
fucking hell. Um, Jesus Christ, called ourselves experts. So Briggs tells Oba that reign is coming to an end. Briggs, what the fuck do
Sure.
you know, eh? Ava, Ava said the speed titles to NXT. Yay!
Okay.
Please unify them already, or give Triple A them. They want them. Do you know what I mean? If it's going to go away Heritage Cup, we haven't got a fucking chance. And the main event of Heatwave featured Obafemi defending the NXT Championship against Javon Evans, and both men came into this match as faces, and the crowd was cheering for both of them. It didn't seem to have a favourite. Femi wanted to intimidate his young opponent and use his power to make sure he knew who was the physical dominant man in the ring, but the OG tried to fire off some shots, but the champion swatted him away. Evans nailed a super kick that knocked Femi to the mat, made him do a double take. The high flyer stayed on him and hit him some nice moves to keep him off balance. Champion eventually regained control, but it never felt like he was as dominant as when he started. And they told a great story here with Evans wearing him down and surprising him with his resiliency. You do not know how much I love the kind of plucky baby face Monty when it is done right. Evans was pulling out all the stops, and Femi was doing his best to fight him off. And he had the crowd chanting, "This is awesome," as he built towards the finish. And it looked like Evans was going to win, but Femi's foot was under the rope for the pin. So another ref waved off the call, and the match continued. Femi scooped his rival up and threw him over the top rope and through the announce table in the wildest spot of the night. And the crowd was not happy about it. Over Femi ended up getting a win from the fall from grace. Ricky Saints made his way to the ring to confront Oba, but the story is about Javon Evans, who ended up the fan favourite even in defeat. And that's not me mentioning, Monty, how much I fucking love Obafemi. What were your thoughts on this match?
I mean, I think what needs to happen after watching this, I think, and I don't know if they're going. They maybe it'll take time, but I do think these guys are gonna end up fighting again. Maybe it's WrestleMania weekend if they decide to go that long. And I think what I want to happen that time is that Oba takes the gloves off in a sense and stop being the cool, you know, Oba that we know and love. Because I know he beats a lot of ass and he is who he is, you know, but let's just be all the way about it. He isn't really heel. He isn't trying to absolutely kill everybody in a sense. Like he's just dominant. Like that's really what he does. So I think to make this even more of an uphill battle for Javon, not that we need Over to be even more scary. I just think it'll imagine this match if you do have that element of Over actually trying to hurt this kid the next time they do it. Because I thought, like you said, the best part of the match to me was the reaction of everybody when he threw him like he did. And the fact that Over was willing to go that far, or felt like he had to go that far to survive the kid at this stage, I thought was a beautiful element that made the match even better. Like you said, Javon fighting from underneath. I honestly don't know if I want anyone else to even dethrone him because that's how good not only this was, but just not in their chemistry, but the story, man, the story, but underneath all of the cool things that they did, in my opinion, made this even better. So, when I think about it that way, I really just can't say enough about Javon. I don't really know how I said like the WrestleMania, time, but like I don't even know if you can wait that long. Javon was so damn good, and he just feels like he should be the next champion. Just the way just the way everything about Javon is just perfect for that spot. But I think for as far as Oba goes in the future, I think the next level of his character could be brought out. Not necessarily saying he needs it because I think you can send him up now as right now as who he is right now and I think he'll be fine. But I do think a more heelish run out of Over, even though he kind of blurs the lines as a character so far, I don't really think he is a heel. I really feel like and like you said, I love you noting the crowd because usually when Over does something cool or dominant, the crowd is all in on it. They were not necessarily supportive of some of the stuff he did to Javon. And it's just like, I don't know if it's just because they love Javon and they know, everybody can see that he is the future and will be a great champion when he gets there. And he's just, as far as in the ring goes, he has it all. But Obafemi also has it all. And I think that's kind of what we got a chance to see here is two guys who is definitely can be the future of WWE or just this business in general and I thought they did a great job of battling it out. And I think the scariest part about it is they probably could make it even better because I feel like if you add elements of making Oba really want to hurt this kid, and they did make Javon have to overcome that version of Oba, that could be
Mm.
even more, on the edge of the seats. And I even entertained Javon winning a couple of times, which is something I don't really do in these open fitting matches. So I think that just kind of lets you know right there how good this really was. But the scariest part about it, I really think they can do even better.
Yeah, and again, there was shades of kind of one of my favorite matches, Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar. When Brock realized he couldn't put Eddie down because of the heart and determination. I think we can get a moment there, but I think this proved Javon is a start. My only issue with him is sometimes he tries to jump further than he can, but he will learn sooner rather than later, I'm sure. As for Obafemi, like to talk about as that dominant champion, realised like, well, this kid's pretty tough. 200 plus days as champion now. He is 10-0 in title matches in NXT. It's something quite incredible. Again, we'll look back on this and be like, fucking hell, that run. And again, let's not forget his North American Championship run as well, But as we mentioned, the fans started with Oba, but ended with Evans, and Vic was taken right out as well. But Ricky Saints is an interesting one because again, he's not done much, and then suddenly shows up and he feels a slightly bigger deal.
I love Ricky, and I think I won't mind. I don't mind him being here, but I do think after like you said, everything we've seen Over go through, and like just how good he is, I'm like, I love you, Ricky, but do you really think I'm giving you a shot after like what Over has done to everybody? And then also what Javon was just put through and what he had to bring out. Like I do. The funniest thing about this is that Ricky is the veteran here, and I know he's gonna get a hell of a fight or a hell of a match out of Over. But Ricky is going to gain a lot more from this too, in my opinion. If they go out there and do have the type of feud and match, I think they can have because, like you said, so far Ricky hasn't been, really presented as. I know they're trying like They tried to build him up in the last few weeks with the stuff with Troy and then even Briggs. The problem with that is nobody thinks Troy or Briggs are legitimate world champion guys, and that's not necessarily Ricky's fault. It's kind of like what I was saying about Trick Williams when he was on top. You can say his run fell off and it wasn't entertaining, but at the same time he had to fight Ridge Holland for a couple months. So it's like it's like you only sometimes you're only as good as the talent pool you get to work with. But we already watched Ethan Page survive and outshine Ricky. And yes, you can make the case that Ova won't cheat him, but Ova is a whole different type of monster. That's a whole different challenge. Like, yeah, Ethan Page will screw you over, but Ova will absolutely knock your block off. So it's how much more of a chance do I give Ricky? That was kind of my only issue, but I'm happy. I'm happy. I was definitely still looking forward to what they're going, how far they're going to go against each other.
Yeah, right
Matter of
now.
fact, if Ova won't turn heel, maybe that's what Ricky needs to do
Well,
to
Ricky
get
needs
up.
eight, mate. 'Cause like you said,
Yeah.
to go against the ruler at the moment, against our champion, he's going to need to bring an army with him. So out of five, then for the main event, what would you give it?
I give it 4 3/4 because again, I thought it was probably as close to. It was a really good match, and you could have go five if you want to, but I really think they can. I think we can get more out of them, and then I think this match is going to help us get more out of them when they do inevitably battle again because I feel like you got a lot of narrative beats that was hit on here that can be brought up later to make the next match even better.
Yeah, without doubt. So, yeah, I'm going to give it 4 3/4 as well. Predictions: Gina took a chance, went for Javon Evans. The rest went for Obafemi. So, final scores: Gina on two, James and Monty on three, and Jaxie on four. So, Jaxie gets the win here. I just can't believe it. And bonus league now. Fuck's sake, Gina's on 12. I'm on 15. Jaxie moves to 16. Makes you sick, doesn't it? And of course Monty on 18. But Jaxie's catchy, Monty. You're a little bit worried at the moment. She's not doing too bad.
Yeah, but like this is what she kind of does, if you notice. Like she either starts off rough and then wait till later in the year, and all of a sudden she's won like six in a row. So like I'm kind of noticing the trends in this when it comes. We've done enough of this now, where I'm noticing that we're formulating trends here. But we'll see. I'm not too worried just yet. But if depending on what happens with these next two, the AEW and WWE shows, she get a perfect or a couple of perfects, we tied. So yeah, that would definitely worry me. But I don't know. We'll see. I haven't gotten a perfect in a while. I gotta step my game
Yeah, and I've just got to win one. Anyway, so overall for this event, again, the match of the night for both of us obviously was the main event. But Monty, what would you give it out of 10, and who was your MVP?
I think my MVP had to go to Javon. Again, I think he's gained a lot from this. I mean, I think we all can see the future in Javon Evans. And I think he's gonna have such a bright one, and he will be NXT champion, or just like who knows, maybe even multiple time champion in many different ways one day, because he does have that type of potential. And I think his match with Obafemi only just solidified that for anybody who may have not been sure. Uh, Overall, though, this show is probably like a solid 8 for me. Like, I really only recommend going back to watch two matches, and that's Jordan Mariah, and then, like I said, the main event over in Javon, obviously. So, I thought they kind of those two matches were leaps and bounds above everything else. Everything else could have been on an NXT episode or a main event, maybe. NXT at best. So yeah, I thought that it was fine, but this is kind of like some of the I don't say downsides, but this is just one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a good card, but this isn't one of the strongest cards NXT has put together. So, but I thought everything was at least entertaining.
Yeah, no, I like I said, it's one of my lowest ranked. takeovers or NXT events, 8 1/4. This show missed Trick. For me, like Trick could have done something on here. And again, it didn't feel like you really missed anything. And again, the future might change that with Javon and Oba to go back and watch their first encounter. But as for now, you just catch up with the clips. MVP of the night, Ash by Elegance. I will give her credit for that. And obviously the main event. Was my match of the night. We move on to NXT August 26th. We open with a recap of Heatwave before Ricky Saints came out to kick off the show with a promo. He talked about being successful at Heatwave, but was quickly interrupted by Josh Briggs, who was still bragging about beating Yoshiki Inamura. Before things could devolve into fight, Ava came out, announced that Briggs would face Saints later in the show for a shot at the NXT title. We also got a
Yay.
brief backstage segment set up the first match between Blake Monroe and Kalani Jordan, with Jordan Grace showing up. Monroe tried to leave like she did a few weeks ago, but found the door was locked. Grace made her get in the back of the win. Jordan took advantage, Kalani that is, hit a split-legged moonsault for the pin and the win. Wow, setting us up there off Heatwave after that.
Yeah. I mean, this was good, and I loved like the Jordan element of it with the Mariah, but I just kind of was kind of all right, whatever. This don't mean nothing for Kalani because she pinned JC, and it didn't mean nothing. So yay, she pinned Blake. So I don't know if eventually a few weeks down the line, Blake will probably get her win back. That's where I seem to be at right now with my Kalani stock. But but at least for as far as like a logical step for the Jordan Blake feud, I thought this was okay.
Yeah, and we're getting Briggs and Saints again. Get in. The
Mm,
next bout was a blindfold match between Miles Bourne and Lexis King, which came about after King sprayed Bourne with pepper spray during a recent backstage encounter. I haven't really mentioned this feud on NXT Update because of how distasteful it actually is.
mm.
Both men had trouble finding each other for the first minute. Once they made contact, they locked up and started struggling around the ring. Bourne hit a nice drop kick, and King ended up sending himself out of the ring in a bit of hilarity. He also injured his hand chopping the ring post when he thought it was Bourne, eh? But King ended up cheating, removing his mask while the ref was blinded, which allowed him to hit his finisher for the win. Monty, this is about as local wrestling as you can get. Do you know
So
what I
funny,
mean?
so funny, man. Just oh my gosh, ha ha ha! I was just killing myself laughing at it. The hilarity. Uh, I mean, I'm kind of like where you at. I mean, I haven't really been paying too close attention to this. I've definitely all my Lexus King Pillman Jr. stock is nowhere to be found. I'm not putting any pounds, any euros, anything on that. On Lexus King at this point. This it was okay. It was at least I did see some people at least chuckling at the match and chuckling. I do think it's like a different. Like I can't. Sometimes you do kind of even. The problem is that different don't always mean good. Like I get on AEW, I get on Triple H for like doing the same thing over and over, and I don't like that. But at the same time, I do want something different. But that don't mean what I'm saying. Like
Mm.
that don't always mean we're gonna get something good. So props for creativity, but we can move on from this storyline. I know Miles Bourne don't have a title shot. Like maybe Miles Bourne needs to challenge Ethan Page. Like give him some. I think he's wasting his potential with storylines like this. I think he should be fighting for championships.
Well, I got a couple of questions. I mean, where's Heritage Cup? When did Miles
No,
decide
what are
to
you gonna
start growing?
understand? That's dead, bro. That is go. It's
When's Miles
over.
decided to start growing facial hair? Because I quite like it. I mean, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
answer.
It was all right. And do you know when the last blindfold match was in NXT? It was in NXT, and we might have actually covered this.
Probably did.
We did.
Uh,
I think we
is
did.
Gargano involved or something? I know that's just a
Uh,
safe bet.
no,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember.
this is how long we've been doing this. It was Dexter Loomis versus Cameron Grimes.
I wanted to guess Dexter had something to do with. That's why I went with. That's why I said Johnny. But
Yeah, you
okay,
were there.
it's
You were there.
Grimes.
You were there.
It's Grimes. So yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Good times. Charlie
Yeah.
Dempsey, Nico Vance, and Sean Spears were at ringside to watch a women's tag match with Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray taking on Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame. Dame hit a pop-up powerbomb to pin Sinclair. Nice. Briggs and Saints were already in the ring when we returned from a break. Their match got started immediately with both men throwing hands. Both had a few close calls, but a spinning DDT from Saints put Briggs down for the 3 count. We now know Oba Femi's next challenger for No Mercy, but Femi came out and had a segment with Saints in the ring. New number contender promised to end the champion's reign of terror, and Dark State showed up in a crowd of going something both of them. And of course, it looks like we'll get the tag match of this update or next when it comes to that. Hank Tank came out to even the odds. The segment ended with a babyface sending the heels packing. The thing is, though, sometimes with NXT Monty, I don't know if you notice it, it's like they have it's two segments back to back, which should be over a week. Do you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
rush, the Briggs and Saints thing to give us the segment with Oba and obviously Dark State with the tag match. I don't know if it's in their contract.
Yeah. I think again, that's why I absolutely agree that sometimes if you watch NXT, it's like it feels like whoever puts the shows together or whoever sequences things is they either have Adderall or some type of very some type of drug that confuses you because like sometimes if you're not paying attention, let's say you're watching like a 15 or 20-minute block of just NXT, you could have three or four storylines touched on, a match, a couple segments, a backstage. That you can have all of that done literally in that amount of time, and it's definitely one of those things you kind of have to get used to when watching NXT. But sometimes it's good. Sometimes I don't mind it because every storyline is going to its next logical state, and then sometimes it can just be like this, just kind of like okay, this is fine. You just watch it. Like you don't know how many times, and then again, someone who loves NXT here, you don't know how many times when we're just watching NXT, I'm just like, oh okay, and then we just
Mm.
move on to the next thing. It's like okay,
But
no, that's
uh,
fine.
again, maybe it's me. Like I was used to like NXT having a show only like every 3 months, as opposed to kind of like it seems every month now. And again, he had
Hmm.
time to build each division and stuff. I know I'm talking as a old head here, but that's what used to be back in the day. Anyway, next up was a singles match between Alba Fire and Tyra May Still, who was looking to avenge a loss at Heatwave, and she did. But Chelsea Green attacked her from behind. Tavian Heights confronted her, but Ethan Page attacked him. Good. Main event times, Aruka and Lola Vice faced Fatal Influence. Everyone worked hard, but felt like this was designed to make Vice stand out, and she definitely did. She even scored the win with a team with a spinning back fist. And Monty, it's quite funny because, again, we talk about how certain women's division is, but when you see someone like Lola, you go, yeah, she has actually got quite a few parts to her already. Do you know what I mean? Very entertaining.
Yeah, again, I think some of it is just not being televised consistently, and like I said, some of it is just not having that strong character. It's kind of like what I was saying about Kalani. But yeah, I agree. She's definitely more of a finished product than some other people who are featured more than her. So that's why it's always kind of weird to me that she is so inconsistently featured. But I do think she has, like you said, a nice foundation. She's probably closer to being called up than you would think. But I do wish we see her a little bit more. It's like so every now and then you get that person in NXT, especially in the women's division, who you see the potential, you see what's going. I got a perfect example. I saw potential in Kiana James and all that, but she didn't do a lot really in her time in
Mm,
NXT, but she's already a main roster talent. And like that's where it feels like where we at with Lola, even though I think they have a chance and they got plans to do more with her. But you see what I'm saying? It's like where it's
yeah.
like she's been in NXT a while. I see the potential. She has a look, she has the talent, enough of a promo to where I think she's good, she's fiery. But it's like she hasn't done a lot. But I do feel like she's one of those people that they did a draft in a couple weeks, they might call her up, and then we'd be like, oh, okay. I wasn't really expecting it because she has done much, but cool. So
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of where I feel like we at with Lola. But this feud right here can give us something to latch on to going forward with Lola.
Yeah, right. Impact August 28th. Mike Santana and TNA International Champion Steve Macklin defeated TNA World Champion Trick Williams and AJ Francis. Mike pinned Trick, and then Williams' lawyer got cobra'd later when he was, talking about the 50-day thing of not defending this title. We also got the inspiration Cassie Lee and Jesse McCade defeating Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. So, Fatal Influence can't even win on Impact, Monty. Do you know what I'm saying? But again, it's nice to see the influence or, inspiration or the icon, what you want to call them. They're back.
The iconic inspiration. Uh, yeah, it's always cool seeing them. I actually saw, I don't know if it was Peyton or for the former Peyton Royce or Billy Kay who said what they was who brought the comments about how much easier they have so much freedom and they seem they feel more trusted in Impact compared to how they felt when they were in WWE. And it really made me do some mental math in my head, and I was like, wow, they were in WWE so long ago.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, time is like, dang, time is flying. So yeah, I was like, that I'm pretty sure they did have more freedom than they did because they've been, it was like a completely different regimes across the board. Even when they were in NXT, it's completely different than the NXT that it is now.
hmm
So yeah, man. But it's always good to see them.
You're right out. So September 2nd, NXT 2 women with their sights set on the NXT Women's Championship and with ample amounts of tension between them squared off in Tuesday's opener as Jada Parker battled Lash Legend. Legend earned the win with a second Lash extension, bringing an end to a half-fought back and forth context.
Finally.
The popular Parker chased the rival up the aisle, delivering a hypnotic and driving her through the guardrail. As Vic Joseph noted, the issues between them are far from over. But again, what a great way to start the show. And I got to say, Lash Extension, probably one of my favorite names for a finisher.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
so
it.
cool and it's so cool and it fits and I love it. And my again, it's great to finally see Lash come out on top in one of
hmm
these bigger matches. It's pretty cool to see her finally get that victory. And I don't mind her and Jada keeping it going, even though I could have did without immediately Jada having to get her heat back with the finish thing. But I get it. Jada's popular. You kind of want her to continue to look strong, and you also want Lash obviously to look strong by winning. So I think both girls benefiting. I think this is good stuff. And but I don't know where I mean maybe we get another stipulation match out of this. But I'm not sure what's next for either right now. But what I will say is this is also one of my favorite things because we don't get this consistently around other brands so far. Is the trusty old feud that may not be about a championship, but it's just two women, going at it. NXT
Mm.
is pros at it to have them not necessarily talking about a championship. You don't always have always don't have to have a super narrative behind it. They just don't like each other, and so they're going at it. And I kind of like that because only in NXT do we kind of consistently get that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, at least one Grace likes Blake Monroe, but Jordan got problems with Kelly Armstrong. No, no, me neither. But after losing his latest NXT championship opportunity against Obafemi, former number contender Javon Evans hit the ring to just fans. He fought through the emotions and discussed the toll that defeat took on the confidence before an Undertaker tease turned out to be the arrival of Josh Briggs, much to the dismay of everybody in the world. Briggs insulted Evans and delivered a cheap shot at the level of the young star. He retrieved a steel chair and delivered a choke slam where only Evans' head appeared to clip him, and the Hill stood tall to close out the segment. But Monty, Briggs is 32.
Yay.
You know what I mean? He's 32. Why do they just keep Dijak to do this if they're going to do like a locker room leaver? Because I do not believe Josh Briggs. Fuck him. You know what I mean? He killed NXT UK. I'm still not over it.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. I don't like this streak that we're on in the men division. When you think about him and Jensen or you think about uh Ridge Holland, it's like wow. Just a run of some of the most uninteresting guys who seem to always be forced upon you in a sense. It's very, very. weird in my opinion. How we kind of always end up in that. We kind of have ended up there with these guys. I don't know. I mean, I do think it's something, but yeah, I agree. At least with Dijak, you knew you were going to get killer matches along with the kind of spoiler type of character he had. So I don't know, man. Briggs a big guy. You remember what I said about Lesnar? Like, that's kind of what I feel like. Maybe Briggs is going to get a billion chances because he's a big guy, and that's kind of where we at with him.
Inaugural WWE Speed Women's Champion Candice LeRae had the opportunity to advance in the London Contendership Tournament when she battled TNA Wrestling's Zaya Brookside in an opening round match. LeRae got the win and will face the winner of next week's match between Lani Reed and Triple Ace Fabi Apache. NXT, where titles come to die. But I mean, Zaya has improved in TNA, but there was no way 3 minutes. It's just not enough, is it? You know.
I mean, that's always been the major hitch with that belt. It's like is I thought it was a different idea just because I thought if you were doing it social media, it's like okay, well, that's fine. But then I thought the time limit was a little bit too uh limiting, and you can't have much of a match. And then to me, it's just one of those things. Like again, call me a weird fan in a sense, but it kind of not breaks your immersion, but like we watched Cody Rhodes and John Cena, okay, and, and like they're kicking out of stuff 15 minutes into a match. You got 15 finishers. So when you watch another match and then it's over first finisher, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's just like, oh, then why don't wrestlers do that all the time? That's still the mind state that I have as a weird little fan. So I don't know, man. I'm with you. Uh, these titles probably won't be here much longer, but I mean, I guess get your use where it can. It's good to see Candice actually wrestling. So
Yeah.
I guess that's one bright spot.
All right, now, we learned a little bit more about Dark State and why they're doing what they're doing, which again, I'm not going to argue against. And then TNA champion Trick Williams took to the squared circle to address NXT fans. He pretended to care about NXT, claiming he was different from past stars, but he soon admitted that once he received a Raw or SmackDown offer, he would leave and wouldn't care about the brand or its fans either. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano interrupted to a thunderous ovation, marking 10 years since their NXT debut. I'm such an old man. The crowd's loud welcome home chants showed the ongoing passion for DIY. Ciampa questioned Trick's assertion that he's the greatest superstar in NXT history, touting his own status as a two-time world champion. Of course, Gargano's 3 runs as North American champion. It didn't matter if you were a demon or a hugger, undisputed or glorious, Gargano said, referencing the best wrestlers the brand has produced, for saying that the heart and passion that made them great. And again, Monty, I'm just like, Johnny is NXT, man. Just keep him on NXT. Do you know what I mean? Like, he is loved.
It's just I've never seen a contrast like that, man. That's just like again, I don't think it's usually. I don't really think it's like to any fault of his own either. I think he's still entertaining when given time. Uh, elsewhere, it's just something different, man, about NXT and the way he's treated, the way he feels, everything about him is just different. And I don't know if it's because he spent such a long time in NXT or it's just you know that, like you said, maybe it's just because of that energy the crowd gets whenever he's back. It's insane. And I don't know, like, because I feel like kind of maybe you can kind of attest to this. Like, I feel like if let's say you split them up and you told John that he was NXT for life, and then Ciampa was allowed to kind of do his own thing. Uh, would that even change? Like, Ciampa, I don't know if Ciampa needs the NXT rub as much as it feels like Johnny changes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like with given the right time and allowing Ciampa to just be who he is, Ciampa could get himself over. I mean, we kind of saw that with his small time when he was with the Miz. Like, he kind of even got that to work because Ciampa is just there. And I'm not trying to say Gargano can't. It's just I don't know if it'll ever be how it feels in NXT.
Yeah, the DIY thing can't, again, it can't have the impact in WWE that it had in NXT. So then they're gonna have to try something different. And again, it just seems crazy that Johnny's just not in NXT as the kind of, like that kind of guy there to be like, right, if you want to get through, you have to get through mood type of thing, because you just imagine the kind of matches. I mean, imagine like Gargano and Javon Evans and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It would just be off the chart. But again, as for a segment,
He
this
might
was
make
good.
Briggs interesting.
Oh fuck me! But as a segment, it's good to trick obviously his arrogance and everybody saying and again, it's a question that we've not really asked either about who is the greatest NXT star of all time because again, it is different generations. Do you know what I mean? Like even with Finn
Yeah.
Balor and Gargano and people like that, it is really really difficult. But maybe one day when there's not a shitload of wrestling to watch, we'll sit down and talk about
If
it.
we ever
But
can, if we ever get caught up, or if we can ever get to that point, that would be a fun pod. But I don't know if we'll ever get to that.
No, but we can dream. Backstage, Ava announced a triple threat number contendership tag match featuring photo influencers Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, the Cullens, Izzy Dame, Tate, and Paxi, and a team of Sol Ruka and Zariah for next week. The winners will challenge Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss for the tag titles. Callie Armstrong is the Evolve Women's Champion, apparently, and due to what happened earlier, she faced Jordan Grace and the Juggernaut won. After the match, Blake Monroe appeared. But Grace got shots in, blooding her rival's mouth. Security kept them apart. And then NXT went 2 for 2 as we had a great vignette for Lola Vice. And again, I got to clap the production team because you made Dark State seem actually, we kind of knew what they were doing. And Lola, I mean, if I can just get like a tape of her dancing, I'll be quite happy. But again, I don't want to sound like that guy, I don't want to be that guy.
Oh God, you having
Um,
a tough time today, aren't
Oh man, I tell you, this neck beard doesn't grow itself, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, Josh Briggs wasn't done for the night. He mowed over Andre Chase and he earned the victory in a decisive
you?
fashion. After the bell, the Hills brutalised Cal Dixon and Uriah Connors, driving latter through the announce table to put over his dominance. As a result of him not interfering in the match, Javon Evans will now get a match against Briggs on next week's show. Fuck me. I mean, you can, like you said, have too much Josh Briggs on an update. I thought last month's was bad, but this one's taking the biscuit. And then NXT champion Obafemi, number one contender Ricky Saints, and former tag champs Hank and Tank battled Dark State because obviously you had to this update, didn't you? As the action broke down, including misfire between Saints and Femi, that led to a brawl. Walker found himself in James's grasp and uttered the name Joe Hendry. The former TNA World Champion appeared and set up a finish,
Mm.
which saw the Babyface dispatch Dark State and stand tall, and backstage Femi and Saints brawled to close the show. So a lot going on there. The appearance of Joe Hendry, again, like I said, trying to make him viral again, so to speak. But there is one moment in this match I want to talk about, and the crowd popped for it, and they don't realize what Oba can do. When Oba did the Ricky Saints pose, and people are like, oh God, but that's what Oba can do. Do you know what I mean? He's got that personality about him.
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't want. Maybe some people still look at him heelish, but that's part of the reason why I say if he ever was to just go full on monster, it would be like insane to watch somebody as dominant as him channel that and just turn it. But like, yeah, that's what adds to it. And I don't know. And the funny thing about it, you could with anybody else, you could just say, "Oh my God, he's getting cocky or he's arrogant." But with Oba, he's been so dominant for somehow he still maintains that danger along with being able to do things like that. And I thought it was cool. You can even and I don't even know how expected it was because you kind of see or Ricky is just a great pro because he sold it
Yeah.
really well, like somebody who was kind of annoyed but also kind of laughing at it in a sense, seeing Oba do that. And like you say, you gotta have that. You gotta be willing to make yourself kind of look like a fool in a sense. To kind of really be truly entertaining when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, man, he's so far like you said, he always had that element underneath. I mean, you kind of see it in the promos back and forth with Trick and like different time and in different times so far on his run, even when he was North American champion. So to kind of look at him do it now and like you said, kind of see everybody's reaction to it, it was funny because yeah, he always kind of had that's what's gonna make him unique when he does get called up. If they allow him to be who he is, that's the type of thing that can make him be completely different than what we've seen before. Because You still come on. I mean, look at him. You got to be afraid. Look at his style. He's dangerous, but at the same time, he has entertaining bone in his body. But you still have to take him seriously. Like I hope he's able to maintain that. I don't think they. I just don't know if you can even make Obafemi look like a goofball. You know what I mean?
Mm,
That's just
yeah.
they presented him so well. So I don't think anything negative can even or it hasn't so far. But I don't know. I don't even know if you can even turn that into a negative. It's just entertaining.
Yeah, and the thing with Obafemi, again, I might be extremely biased, but I think even more so than with Bron Breakker, that once he comes to the main roster, he's a main event guy because I can't see. Do you know what I mean? I don't want him kind of jobbing out the
Yeah.
Intercontinental title to whoever, like, or he's just got to come in and smash, and he can do it. But again, maybe that's why they're leaving him in NXT to kind of, like I said, build the reps up because he is getting better week in and week out. September 4th, Impact. Very little NXT coverage. Trick versus Mike is confirmed for Bound for Glory. And on a side note, Indy Hartwell will face Ash by Elegance at Bound for Glory as well. As
That
long as
class.
Ash can get, well, as long as Ash can get past Masher, but at Victory Road, but that's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even been
Exactly.
on yet, but we've got to know. But yeah, Indy Hartwell seems to be the next one. But again, good for her. You know what I mean? Bouncing back.
Yeah. I mean, same vein is kind of like what I was kind of saying about Dana earlier. Is like to be able to pick yourself up and then just keep going and keep working at it. And like, a lot of people may not acknowledge it because the Impact's standing has kind of went up and down over the years, but their knockout divisions from a historic standpoint, it does hold weight to me. So I do think I am kind of like you said happy for her that she's able to kind of pick herself up and get to that spot to where Impact feels like yeah no she's earned herself a shot.
Without a doubt. September 9th, NXT then, and it opened with Javon Evans walking through the crowd to the ring and calling out Briggs. He did not waste any time coming out to respond. Evans leapt out the ring onto him to kickstart a brawl. This led to a match which Briggs won when he countered Evans coming off the top rope with a huge shot to the head with a chain wrapped around his hand. Backstage, Ricky and Oba argued in front of Ava. I mean, again, Javon losing here. I know, again, how many times can we say Briggs is a big man? But we just got to see where this goes because at the moment he's not showing like it's not personality or do you know what I mean? He's just there's nothing there for me. There's no. It's just another generic guy.
Yeah, I think the problem with him is that everything about him, all the comparisons you can make about Briggs, we've seen before and done better. So if you want to say JBL or Bradshaw, we've seen him before, done
Mm,
better. If you want to say if you want to go as far, I wouldn't do it. But if you want to go, badass Undertaker or whatever, all right, done before, way better. So it's just like, what about him? Like, even if you just want to go Cowboys and Stan Hansen and all the other great Cowboys over the years, who come on. I mean, honestly, the problem is that no matter almost what he does, like in the ring, he is the most unique. And then like what we know about him and what he's presenting so far as a character, hell, like you mentioned, just in recent history with Dijak, done better, or even
mm.
Baron Corbin, done better. So it's like it's just what about him that's gonna make him actually feel like someone that you would want to invest your time in and look forward to so far. And that's the thing. Like so far, it hasn't really been much of nothing. Like, is he potentially fine? Sure. And I thought this match was good, but how much of that was Briggs and how much of that is just enjoying Javon as a performer? I think
Yeah.
we already know the balance there. So it's like, okay, it's fine. And I'm not saying Briggs shouldn't win because, like you said, I get it. I get where we're going with this, but it's just like I think the thing that holds me up is that everything about him feels unoriginal.
Yeah, and I think you're bang on as well. Like someone like Baron Corbin would be perfect in this role. And again, I don't see why that's not in the locker room in a way. Speak about
Yeah,
Gargano of like kind of older. If you're using Briggs as a kind of experience, joking aside, even if he's kind of one of the more experienced guys now, you need more than that to kind of make it through. But who knows? We might be wrong. Josh Briggs might main event at WrestleMania.
yeah, yeah,
Who knows?
exactly.
Who knows? DIY made their way to the ring. Tommaso Ciampa said returns to NXT always feels special, especially since the 10-year anniversary of DIY is so close. It didn't take long for Trick Williams to interrupt, and Carmella Hayes joined the party, who is still him in NXT. And Mello and Trick haven't interacted since Hayes left NXT. And Mello said Williams been squatting in the house he and DIY built. Williams said it wasn't right that he talked trash about Mello, but he also said it was still his house. Ciampa made a joke and Mello took offense. DIY then challenged Trick and Mello to a tag match at No Mercy, but the segment ended before the answer could be given. We obviously know what happened there, but I mean, my God, we mentioned it only Gargano, Carmella Hayes in NXT, and it's just like, oh, it's him. Oh, he's back. Do you know what I mean? Mello is back, and to see the interaction with Trick was great.
Yeah. Uh, is he just leaps and bounds feels more important, and like that kind of leads me to believe that some of that is just how they felt when they were organic and new, and like everything about them as they built themselves up. Maybe that's part of the why Gargano will always feel different, because it's just NXT Gargano is different than main roster or Gargano. And the same thing can be said for Melo, even in the short period of time so far. Who he was in NXT is just so much more in so many different ways than what he seems to be so far in the main roster. So and you can just tell, like from the entrance, from everything about him, the presentation, actually getting time to talk, stuff like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Actually being on television will help. So
yeah,
it's a shame that it feels like that, and I don't want that. I don't want it to feel that way. But I do think it's kind of funny because, like, this is my thought process. Now, let me know if you kind of understand what I mean. Uh, the people who didn't get so far, the people who didn't come back to hype up, the active people who did not get to come back and hype up Homecoming, but we know that they spent time in NXT. I think it's kind of funny. Like, for example, Braun Breaker and like even Bronson Reed, for example, they're not back hyping this up because they
mm,
got main roster, legitimate storyline focus right now, doing other things. Even though, if you ask me, whose run in NXT was more impressive than them two, Melo would be way more impressive. Gargano, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, but it's a
yeah,
reason why you're available to do this,
yeah,
So yeah, I think that kind of plays a factor in that feeling too, of why
yeah,
we
no
looking
doubt.
at them differently when they're back. It's like, oh, it's great to see you back, because what you're doing right now in the main roster is beneath you most of the time.
Yeah, no, about that. I think only maybe even Chelsea Green has got like a story on the main roster as well as like NXT at this moment in
Mhm.
time. But again, like you said, it is true. Triple A's Apache was in action this week in a speed tournament match against Reed. Both gave a quick backstage promo for the match. Apache missed a dive for the top rope and Reed capitalized to get the win with only a few seconds left. Natalia was shown watching from the crowd. The NXT tag titles on the line when Hank and Tank challenge the Dark State for the belts. Cutler made a mistake of saying Joe Hendry's name, causing the TNA staff to burst through a wall and chase him. During the distraction, Hank and Tank ended up losing to a roll up. The ending was a bit weird, but I think the rest of it was pretty decent. And you can see the rebuilding of Joe Hendry as well here if you look carefully.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what they're doing, and I'm just not a fan of it. I'm really not. I'm not. I love the segments and I love seeing Joe pop up, but I'm just not a fan of. All right, let's have him lose on Impact. Let's have him lose here, and as the months come closer to that contract winding down, let's slowly just have him start to rebuild himself from the ground up on our show before we eventually sign him. And you know what I mean. I just like, all right, like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, whether they're doing it like that purposefully or not. But like, that's what it feels like. It's like we're tearing him down while he's on the Impact roster right now, just so we can build him back up under our umbrella. And it's just like, okay, you guys, like, all right, I get it, but like, do we really have to go through all of that just to get them to do it on y'all? Tell them, like, get it, because now it's gonna, like, maybe some people will get confused and be like, oh, when he pops up, whenever his name shows up, get it. Like, he started doing that in NXT, and you like, no, he was doing that for years.
yeah,
He was doing a
yeah,
version of
yeah.
this for years, but we got to do the NXT version of it to make it stick for WWE, I guess.
Yeah, we are right. And the WWE was like, it looks our idea. It's great. And they're going to do the same with Blake Monroe with a heel turn as well. And we got a video package with Blake in her bathtub, and she is tapping into the more violent side of her character. Next up, a flag match between Paige and Tavian Heights. Heights was able to claim the flag and win the match, but sadly for him, the North American Championship was not on the line. Tyler Breeze showed up and posed next to Paige, unconscious body to end the segment. Looks like he might be facing Paige at Homecoming next week. Not a great reaction to Tyler Breeze, you know, but then again, it's deep cuts, I suppose.
I was gonna say you just mentioned errors. Like Tyler Breeze error in NXT is a while ago now. You know, that's a decade at this point, or at least close to a decade, or maybe even more than a decade now. I think about it. His actual error in NXT, like that's like 14, right? 13. So I don't
Mm.
know. So some of the maybe the people at Full Sail have kind of aged out of the Tyler Breeze record. But I loved it. I love Tyler Breeze. I thought he didn't even ever scratch the surface of his potential. Of course, when he got called up, he's another guy. If you think about what he was in NXT, even if he wasn't like a huge winner of the set, but he was unique. The selfie stick and all of that, and the model.
Hmm.
I thought I liked it. I love Tyler Breeze, but you're 100% right. You know, everybody not like us. Everybody have been watching since it was a bleeping reality show. So
Exactly. They're going, who the fuck is Prince Pretty? But we know.
yeah,
Miles Bourne attacked Lexus King with a chair backstage before the next match took place. The video for Lola Vice at Dad's Taekwondo school was great. We got the Cullen versus Fatal Influence versus Aruka in a triple threat number one contendership match, which had elimination as well. So the winners would have to beat both sets of opponents, not just one. That's what elimination means. One member of each team was legal at all times. There's a lot of chaos. Ruka accidentally hit a finisher on Zarya, and it led to their elimination. And after a few close calls, Dame got the win for her team by pinning Fallon Henley. JC Jane got the mic and ran down her teammates for losing, but she was interrupted by shots of someone arriving in a parking lot as the show went to a final break. Come back to that in a minute. I just want to talk. There was a little fact that came up, and it was Fallon Henley as main event in NXT a total of 11 times since moving to the CW on October 1st, 2024, the most for any wrestler on the roster, both men and women, in this time frame. And she has been pretty consistent, even though JC Jane fucking hates her guts for some reason.
maybe that's why. The execs and people, somebody likes her because, like who would have thought? Because it's not like she has been like champion. Like that was JC's spot. Like maybe that's the narrative. And maybe that's where we're going. Because actually, like even when they were in the cowboy thing, I didn't care for the gimmick, but I thought Fallon was by far the most interesting thing that was going
Mm.
on about her and Briggs and Jensen. So, maybe that is the end goal. You know, if because I think we obviously know that this toxic thing is not going or fatal in time this time. Yeah, it's not toxic, it's fatal. But I mean, think about it. Whatever. Anyway, it's not gonna last. But I think we can see that it's not gonna last long term. Like I don't know anybody who just like to keep getting talked down. I mean, unless they got a kink, I don't understand. I don't know what's the point. So eventually that's gonna happen, and maybe Fallon is the one who benefit fits in that point from that implosion. But I don't know. That is an interesting fact, though. It's kind of funny. I thought the way they executed the Zarya spot was the timing on that had to be perfect. I wonder. I really now this is the only time, one of the only times I've ever wondered how many times they probably rehearsed it to get that right because it was so well done. And if that was like one of the first times that they tried to do that, I was like, wow, because like the way they did that, the timing of like them pushing. I think it was Benson. I'm about to ruin the name. I think it was Paxley who was about to get it, but they like the timing of shoving her out the way and it ended up being Zara in the spot. Just perfect. Like it's just
Mm.
executed perfect. So that was definitely a great moment. I thought the match was solid though, and I don't mind the Cullen kind of doing their thing and getting the spot here. It is what it is, but I don't know, man. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but Zara's gonna take Saul Rupert's head off, and people are gonna bring up stuff like this. Like, how many times did you accidentally? That's probably why me and you are right, or that Saul Ruper would be the one to do it. It's like, oh, I dropped you on your head like 3, 4 times. You never did nothing. You weak and blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. And because like at this
Um,
point, Zarya, what's it gonna take? Like it gotta be. They're not letting them say they're in love, but it gotta be a love story at this point because damn,
there was
Like
something
Fatal
definitely
Influence
going on,
hasn't
yeah.
haven't even been together that long, right? Like Fatal Influence have not even been together as long as them. They argue a lot more for a lot less. So
Well,
yeah,
the show returned for the final break with Jane still ranting on the mic about how she is the greatest NXT champion of all time. And
of
Stephanie
course.
Vaquer came out and reminded Jane she was a double champion. Tiffany Stratton and Ray Ripley joined Stephanie. So this was clearly a setup for a six-woman tag match at Homecoming. The show ended with Babyface's show and Fatal Influence out of the ring. But I don't know about you, but Vaquer seemed fine to me. You know, I don't know.
They're fine. I mean,
Fine.
it was rumored that she was dealing with something, but you know, as it is with somebody like Stephanie, you could never tell. I mean,
Mm.
she's like, I don't know. But what I will say is, and this is just me being petty, uh, I didn't like these three people being here. I wanted Tiffany gone, and I just no, if it's Tiffany, it's just like, I'll be honest, man. Your NXT run was the most memorable out of the three. I mean, it may be memorable because I know I watched it all, but I mean, damn, we couldn't get an Oscar or Kyrie Sane, or I mean, I know it probably
Mm.
wouldn't make sense, but I'm just saying we got different eras being represented with DIY and some of the other inclusions. I just thought Rhea and Stephanie and Tiffany being together was fine, but it was just like, all right, well, two of these girls were literally just here a few months ago, like just last year. So like,
Um,
I don't know. That was like my only little nitpick there. I thought we could have went back a little further for NXT as far as the women goes, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean the NXT Women's division has produced a few stars, hasn't it? So it's not like we're short. But
Right.
when Stratton did arrive, I think Booker said he's going to pop his dick out. So again, I don't know if it's an American
That was
expression.
hilarious, by the way. No, he said Nick. He said Nick. Okay,
Oh, right,
Nick. It was Nick. But I
right.
get it. I get it. I understand why everybody
I just thought, I'm gonna pop my dick out, like
you're not the only one who thought that.
yeah.
That is not an expression, by the way, at all.
Right, good, good. Impact
That
September
that is a
11th.
that is a charge. That is an offense, indecent
Yeah, you can't do
exposure.
that, can you?
That,
Yeah.
that is what
I
that
know,
is.
I know your president is, but you still can't do that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
we don't. Yeah, he kind of the only one that can do whatever he wants.
Impact
Sort of
September.
dictator ish.
Well, moving on from Dix. Impact September 11th. Trick attacked Mike Santana, and that was it. Oh god, they really are trying. September 12th, Worlds collide, and I'm starting to think W hate us with the amount of content. You know,
They do.
did did we really need this so soon after Triple Mania? Do you know what I mean? Like, did we
Yeah.
really need this? Did we? Did we WWE? I don't think we did.
No.
We won't give it a full review.
It's
We
like they're
just run
force
through.
feeding us.
That's awful.
Like,
It's awful.
eat it now, eat it. Eat this up.
Hamburger So, Octagon Junior, Laredo Kid, and Sagrada versus Del Toro, Wild, Dorado, and Mini Abisno. It was the first match of the night. Sagrada was the star of the show, and the Falcon Arrow he hit on Wild was crazy. You know, I mean, I love mini wrestling. Don't get me wrong about that. And an interesting side note as well, Monty. Demus is being celebrated in Mexico for opening the Forbidden Door because he was on Ring of Honor Club wrestling as Demus on Thursday, and on Friday he was part of the Worlds Collide wrestling as Mini Abismo. So that's a little bit of history there, isn't it? You know,
I think we're just desperate to have these two companies working with each
they're
other in
working.
some way,
God
shape,
damn
or
it!
form.
It's
Well,
the
okay, yeah,
minis bringing the world
yeah,
together. You know.
yeah. Thanks a lot, Minnie.
uh, the new Natalia defeated Fabi Apache. Mania in Saudi was met with boos. That was hilarious.
Great.
Triple A tag champs Pagano and Psycho Clown defeated Kofi and Waller. The White Six showed up and attacked them. I mean, that was at least something, I suppose. And again, it's just WWE going, we're going to win those fucking Triple A tag titles as well. We're going to take every championship from every company. That's what we're going to do.
Maybe
You know, it's true.
they're just fast tracking us just melding them all into one belt. Let's just get it out the way now.
Yeah,
Too many
unless
belts.
they're setting up a tag run for Pagano and Psycho Clown on SmackDown, which I just don't know how they could, oh, okay, here's the Wyatts and here's some Psycho Clowns. Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana defeated Balor and Perez, and somehow the demon puppet made an appearance from under the ring. Without Balor, Perez, or Rodriguez being the one to control it, Balor acted like it was alive, and it was, and he told it to get back under the ring. The Yeska managed to calm down the Dominica with a sickening suicide dive, And this is what it should be, Monty. Just give me, small people wrestling and puppets. That's all I'm interested in, It was great. I love puppets.
Yeah, yeah. So entertaining. I can't lie to you. I was also just over the moon with this one.
I
I
think
was.
I loved it more than anybody else. The AAA Latin American Championship, defended by Dr. Wagner against JD McDonough, Dragon Lee, and Ethan Page. And the main event of Worlds Collide featured El Vikingo defending the AAA Mega Championship against the WWE Intercontinental Champion Dirty Dom. Dom hit him with a loaded mouthful, got one more frog splash to get the pin and the win. So Dominic Mysterio is the new AAA Mega Champion, making him a double champ. And Rey Mysterio was a man of his word and put the title around Dom's waist, albeit with some hesitancy. So I guess we're getting Dirty Dom versus Rey Mysterio for the Mega Championship at some point then, because again, it was just WWE going, yeah, we're in control now.
Yeah, I think the cool part is I'm pretty sure Ray was probably crying under that mask,
Mm.
or at least backstage. Like they had to keep it professional, but I know he had to be beyond proud. Because that's so cool. I know at the end of the day, you said I know they've been feuding for a while. And Dom has been a grade A asshole to his dad, but I just think you can't ask for much more than what he's been able to witness his son do and go through and overcome. So I think that's the coolest part about it for me. But what I will also say is that WWE, it's kind of cool to kind of see WWE, even though I do think you're 100% right. It's just like, yeah, just got to remind you guys who territory this is. This is also too them kind of being bullied because I don't know if we get this if the fans are not if the Mexican fans are not begging for Alberto back just to get Vikingo away from the championship. Like I don't know what to say, man, about that. It's like it's so weird. I think Vikingo is very entertaining and like I'm not gonna act like I understand the dynamics or the politics behind why things are the way they are in AAA or why fans feel the way they feel about them. But yeah, I thought this was cool for Dom. Really, really cool. I do think he's worked hard. The internet really wanted this to happen. I was kind of indifferent because I don't really think it really matters as much, to be honest. But it's still a cool visual, and I do think he's worked hard to get that moment. But yeah, anything to stop people from asking for Alberto to get his job back. So I guess at the end of the day, am I really mad about it? No.
No, small mercies, I suppose. And Graves tried his best with Conan and JBL, but it was a long show and it was good overall. But that is not enough nowadays. Good is not enough. There is so much
Yeah.
to watch. Finally, September 16th, NXT Homecoming, and we are back at Full Sail with an epic opening video. I mean, Neville and Sasha Banks have to be featured. I think the Undisputed Era deserved more. I understand why they can't do a few things, but fuck me, sometimes it's just like, come on, is it going to hurt? The old theme brought back a lot of memories as well. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about that. It was crazy, innit? Just that one theme, you go, fucking hell, just take me back. Take me back 8 years.
I
Like,
remember.
it, yeah. Triple H said a few words, of course. He said, "We are NXT." And then Shawn Michaels, they teased some tension with the idea of Triple H wanting to take over NXT again, which brought out William Regal. And he said the only way to settle this was War Games before Charlotte and Alexa made their way out for the first match of the night. They said the women were the backbone of NXT. Mentioned a few of them, told Sean and Hunter to suck it. But it wouldn't be a WWE event if Triple H wasn't there to bask in his glory. Do you know what I mean? He
Oh
is
yeah,
a new
remember
Keith
guys, I
Lee.
started it.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember guys, it was me. Remember, I had a ponytail back then. So yeah, it was me, guys. My era. You remember that? Yeah. No, Triple H. I'm gonna be honest with you too. The way you doing the main roster, you can just stay. You can stay away. You can stay away, bro. You can
Yeah.
stay away. NXT is confusing enough as he. I don't,
Mm.
I don't need your booking down here right now. You stick to what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, as the old NXT fan in me it was definitely awesome to kind of like you said to see the reference, definitely with the War Game reference, really really cool. I know we didn't get a direct Sasha mention, but at least when Charlotte came out there and did say, and the funny thing, I was telling my wife as we were watching, I was like, I guarantee you, Charlotte had to say four horsewomen because they refused for you to even utter the name Sasha Banks. Like you did, like everybody else is there. So the only reason why she would have to just, I'm just saying for his women, so we can give her a nod without giving her the nod. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm like you. I don't understand why we act like the Pac era or now Neville didn't have it. Neville and I'm glad you brought that up. Like so we act like the only people we can talk about from that era is Sami Zayn. And like, yeah, they flashed a little Bo Dallas on there, but it's like that's a whole era of great talents, the Cesaros and just again. Then they love showing Seth Rollins and Big E, but there's plenty of other people who don't get any mention or
Mm.
any much of any focus. So it really, as somebody who watched a lot of that stuff and like was there from day one, and you being there too from back in the day, is really really interesting. Just like you said, who they decide not to focus on, and for whatever reason why they wouldn't want to. But yeah, man, I mean, like you said, the undisputed era. There's so many greats, but the segment itself was fine. I didn't I don't like I said I didn't really care for like Triple H even needing to really be there. Like we all know like Sean and William could have did that segment alone, and it would have made even more thematical sense because they really were like the two main authority figures. Maybe even throw Ava in a spot instead of having Triple H there because I just don't really know if we needed it, but I'm sure somebody got to like enjoyed it, even if it is only Triple H himself.
Someone is saying to Triple H, they love him and Stephanie making appearances because honestly,
You have
it
to see
is
you guys.
honestly it's so sycophantic. You know what I mean? But again, I suppose
Way
we have
more
to
so
take
than
that.
Vince ever did, by the way, at
No,
the
no,
end.
yeah,
By the way,
exactly. Like,
like,
at least he would be like, "Welcome to Raw" or whatever. I mean, Triple H doesn't even welcome the show. He just like, look at me. I'm the
I
gamer.
do my whole entrance.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, it's
we
like
do it for
okay.
you. You. This is why we do it. And what he said at WrestlePalooza, we'll get onto that, like I said, in a couple of weeks' time. But
Oh my
fuck me,
goodness.
that guy is just somewhere else. Anyway, first match was Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxi for the Women's Tag Team Championship. And let's not forget, Alexa Bliss managed Murphy and Cutler in NXT. That's
Yeah.
how long Alexa
Yeah.
goes back. Yeah. Tatum did manage to say hello to Lyra, which I thought was really nice. And Bliss and Flair got the win with a goddess hit Sister Abigail on Paxley. Dame looked furious that she lost for her team. And Shayna Baszler made an appearance backstage talking to Zaruka, saying, just fix it before it's too late. Again, thoughts on the opening matchup, but I felt the pain for Baszler because she's lost a lot. You know?
Yeah, but I did like how she has lost a lot, but I did love seeing her there because it did kind of. I think the reason why we feel that way is because we know how far, how important she really should be when it comes to especially women in NXT and her run. Like that's an entire. She's like an entire era to herself in a sense. And so like she was so dominant, so good, and I think that's kind of like where you look at it, where it's like, man, like she kind of deserved a way better career when you think about how dominant and how great she was in NXT. And I thought the match itself was solid enough. I did love the. I didn't even think about it when they booked it, but when I saw them together, I'm like, wow, this match makes a lot of sense. Izzy's tall, athletic. Charlotte comparisons, I guess. Of course, blonde, and then yay, shorter, athletic, weird girls with dolls. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even think about that they were, kind of matching them up in that fashion in the week before when I was thinking about who won the match. So, kudos to them to kind of being cheeky like that. But Unfortunately, I don't think Tatum is long for the culling. I think we all know that this started off as like a manipulation thing, and Izzy seems like, I mean, not Izzy, but Tatum seems like she's going to be the last to know that this was not the culling is not really the group to be with. But we'll see how long it takes for them to go that far. I think we all know that they probably don't really fit, but this was solid overall.
Yeah. To be fair though, no teams fit in NXT, do they? Do you know what I mean?
Fair,
Like Hank
fair
and
enough.
Tank are probably the only two that actually like it. We're not even
Yeah,
sure Dark State like each other. They're just doing
yeah,
it for a reason, aren't they? But
that's a great point.
we do know two teams that did do a lot for each other and actually loved each other. Up next was DIY versus Trick Williams and Carmella Hayes. Watching Melo's entrance in NXT is great, and of course Rebel Heart. With Johnny Gargano, it's silly to say it's a dream match, but man, it is all coming flooding back. Doing
Hmm.
it for 10 years and then seeing Melo and Johnny wrestling going at it. Williams quickly tagged in to hit a drop kick, and Trick was preparing to hit his finisher when Melo tagged himself in and hit. Melo don't miss. Instead, Williams teased Turner and Hayes, but ended up saving him from Champa. The Miz showed up, and I'm like, why's the Miz here? Oh, fuck yeah, of course. Attack Gargano helping Melo. Could you Miz hasn't got anything to do with NXT, but obviously that is a story. Helping Melo and Williams steal the win. And you know what surprised me the most about this, Monty, was the reaction of people going, what a good match it was when it is DIY versus Trick Mello. Just blew my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they kind of just showcases how much DIY maybe not just them, but like maybe it depends on what side of the fence you are. Maybe you don't think Trick is that good, or maybe you feel like Maybe Mello has lost a lot. Like it just kind of shows you where the main roster booking has kind of taken you outside, in my opinion, of the viewpoint that if like us diehard NXT people, like we have a different viewpoint completely of those guys because of what they were able to achieve, and who we look at DIY as, and we know they can get a good match out of Trick and Mello because Trick and Mello have great chemistry. So, yeah, man, I think it's kind of funny when you think about it like that. But you know, I really was entertained with the match. I didn't really too much care for the Miz being there, but like I'm just kind of like you. I thought about it and I was like, okay, he does kind of have a reason to be here. And then he also, I mean, if you want to even go further back, he got history pretty much with everybody in here except Trick. So, uh, and so
Yeah.
like I guess it's fine. It makes sense. I would have been nice to just kind of just let them have the match play out, but I kind of understand that you kind of want DIY to kind of still look strong. So it's fine. I thought this was good. Nice little ode to the past, to the past, but at the same time, uh, all in line with where we are with Trick's current character too. So, uh, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, DIY, as we mentioned, should just stay in NXT and be the yardstick, A nice shout out
You just
to
saying that because our
FTR.
tag division horrible.
Well, yes, I am. I am indeed. You should again. I'll be doing the universe mode on 2K, and my tag. I've just brought back Pretty Deadly. I brought back everybody. Do you know what I mean? I was like, look, I'm not fucking around with this shit. But a nice shout out to FTR with the Shat Machine, and a lot of TNA talent were actually tweeting during this whole
Yeah.
event. So this was quite interesting what was going on. I've actually got the link here if it will work. So again, the tweets were mainly from NXT talent not being happy. And again, we were wondering kind of what this was attaining. Cassie Lee was like sick to death for NXT running roughshod over a TNA like there's no consequences. Mike Santana said, to keep it real with everyone, I'm pretty sick and tired of NXT has control over TNA and what they can do bullshit. Cedric Alexander also tweeted out, Mustafa Ali said NXT celebrates its past but disrespects TNA's future. Steve Macklin and Moose, and it was very, very synchronized as well, Monty, which makes me think, I don't know if we call it phase two of the TNA NXT partnership, but I feel something is going to happen coming up
I'm
soon, if
hoping.
you know what I mean.
I'm hoping something happens. I hope it's going exactly where it feels like everyone kind of feels that it's going, and I hope we get a good payoff. I will say, I will caution Everybody's using that I word. I don't even want to say that because last time I got hyped about something that was supposed to be an invasion. It ended up being
Dark
that is
state.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
saying nothing. We just gonna hope that everything we hoping actually comes into
Uh,
fruition, and we just gonna kind of leave it like that. And I noticed that the timing was like, peculiar with a lot of those posts. But also at the same time, I did chuckle at them talking about them being tired of NXT running roughshod or celebrating, but not yet. Alexander's post really made me laugh. Like, oh yeah, they celebrate their past, but don't care about Impact's future. I mean, just WWE. What the hell they care about anything? Come on, Sid, think about it. You know this, but anyway. Again, I'm noticing, but I'm not getting hype about nothing. I'm not. Hell, I can go even further back. Even the WWE WCW invasion was
hmm
overhyped. So I'm not hyping anything. We're
Yeah,
gonna sit
that's
here and we're gonna hope it's fun.
well, this is the thing. They can't do it right anyway. You either get like the NWO way of too much one side, or like you said, you get the invasion of not enough the other side, or
Something's
Nexus,
gonna
or
go wrong either
Dark.
way,
It's
right?
gonna be fucking. TNA will come in and the guy trip on the ropes or something. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Sami Zayn was interviewed and he said Javon reminds him of him. Briggs didn't agree, and Zayn told Evans, "You've got heart." Which again is crazy to think Zayn is like a proper vet now. Do you know what I mean? Like he is the guy saying to everybody,
Old as
"You can
hell.
do it." Oh my word!
They showing the,
Even
they showing the clips of him with his haircut, and I'm like, wow, that's Sammy, handsome
yeah,
lad.
no. Ethan Page versus Tyler Breeze for North America title was next. People might not care, but I did really like Tyler Breeze. A smaller Ziggler, but he was the
Yes.
character. And I said at the time, if he was just a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, he would have made it, I think, a little bit further. Do you know what I mean? He's just
The
a little bit
funniest thing
too.
about that, let's say he came in NXT just
Yeah,
like 3 years later with like the Adam Coles or like having Gargano on top. Like you see what I'm saying? Like just a little
yeah,
bit like if he wouldn't have, if he could have waited, like if timing could have worked out a little bit different, he would probably be fine, even at his current size. But you're 100% right. If he was just taller, like oh my god, he superstar written all over him because I agree. He had that. It felt like he was way more dedicated to the fashion model role than maybe a John Morrison slash was. But like you said, he had the selling, had the move set like the Ziggler style. He had a lot of great, but he also had a technical ground to him too. So like I was always a big fan of Breeze, and I always just thought that, like you said, I'm with you. I 100% agree about the size thing, but that's just feels like timing to me, man, because it's just like, you know, he was so talented and had so much potential, but at that time, you're 100% right. Where it's like, yeah, he wasn't really ever gonna make it at his size in that era with Vince booking and all that. Yeah, it wasn't gonna
yeah.
work.
And again, people probably don't remember the Jushin Thunder Liger match. Probably more remember like the Fashion Police
Classic.
and stuff like that, which doesn't really help him as well. But
Which
someone
again
who is,
made that work though.
yeah, yeah,
Made the
he
stuff with
did, honestly
Fandango
did. He
work.
did.
Yep.
Someone who's building their own NXT legacy is, of course, all ego. Breeze put up a good fight, but Page ended up hitting a twisted grin whilst the opponent was hanging from the top ropes to get the win. And again, Ethan Page just does it again. We talk about seemingly every update now, Monty, about how good Page is, but it doesn't matter if it's young, old, whatever. You give him it, and he's gonna give you gold, basically. Or maybe not gold, but do you know what I mean? It's not unsatisfactory.
If they call him up and actually give him adequate television time and just don't ruin it and let him do his thing as a bad guy. I mean, you honestly cannot convince me that he wouldn't be. I don't know if it'd be the same speed as like how far Stephanie Vaquer has done it, but like I feel like he would be very valuable very quick if you just put him in the right spot like as a heel on the main roster. Like he has I always knew he was talented, like even when he was in AEW, but like I really think I've really come away way more impressed with how versatile he is so far in
Mm,
NXT, and I think that can help him be that guy. Again, I don't want to say that he needs to replace the Miz or be a new era of Miz, but the reason why the Miz is who he is and is successful is because of that versatility, and I think Ethan Page is kind of in the same ilk with that versatility.
Yeah. Then again, the heels are sorely missing. We talk about the great babyface at the moment in time, but there was nothing wrong with a kind of shit-eating heel, with Ethan Page.
Yeah.
I've got nothing wrong with that. Dr. Wagner, the Latin American champion, was ringside. I mean, why not? WWE hold all the gold in AAA. Fuck it. Why not? Damon Priest has some encouraging words with Tavian Heights. He let him know it would be Heights versus Page at No Mercy. The Grayson Waller effect with Obafemi and Ricky Saints. Waller did the usual routine of stirring the pot and trying to create controversy. Femi said he doesn't think Saints is special and has been underwhelming since arriving in NXT. Preach. Saints said Femi has been pampered since being recruited right out of college and is nothing without the NXT title. All right. Williams came out and said the title still belongs to him. Waller suggested a title versus title match between the two for next week and the winner defended against Saints at No Mercy. And they all agreed. And it was like, what the fuck was that? Like, isn't that the biggest match we have? Just given on a thrown away fucking episode of NXT. And again, Ricky Saints saying Obafemi's nothing without the NXT title. Has he watched NXT? Like, there was a couple of things here I just didn't like, but I got the overall thing.
I really believe they couldn't come up with something for him to say that made sense against over because if that's all you got. Yeah, I was very underwhelmed, and I think the problem, my biggest problem is this supposed to be Ricky's strong suit, and I just don't know how much. Like, are they just not allowing him to take off the gloves in that? You know what I mean? It's like because I felt like he was able to go so much harder on the mic and have be more of himself in promos, and I think that's part of that underwhelming. Like you allow Obafemi to basically say what the entire internet has basically said about Ricky, but you can't allow Ricky to kind of just go harder and say. And again, I do kind of understand maybe the pamper part that was decent, but it's like you said, he's nothing without the championship. Well, he's also he won a championship like 3 matches into his career. It has like it's not his fault that he beat everybody. Like what are you like? All right, so you got nothing to say basically. So yeah, again that kind of made him look kind of rough. Again, to not really a fault of his own, but it does, I can't say it's not his fault because I don't know if that's the best he could come up with or that's the best they came up with. So it's tough, man. It's really tough. And again, I don't know. As far as the title versus title match goes, I'm thinking we getting the DQ thing, and like because I'm with you, it's like doing the biggest type of match you can do this early. Like, are we doing? Are we serious? Like, it isn't. Like this is the biggest match you have in the men, and then like it's not like the men's division is deep. You know what I'm saying? It's like not like we
Mm.
got a lot of cards to play here. So like, why are we doing this right now, and why are we doing this so early? So I don't know how I feel about it. This segment, like you said, was very hit or miss, and I don't know. I don't want to say it's Ricky because again I know what Ricky is capable of, and this just seems like it's so far from what Ricky is capable of or what he's shown us. Like you can even attest to what you know about him from AEW that this is just far away from what we know Ricky can do. So I don't have an explanation for why everything they have him doing just feels so not him.
Mm.
Maybe it's
But then
because
again,
he's still as a babyface, but I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
I liked him more as a babyface in AEW. So I don't know. I don't know.
But again, it was an AEW. I can't remember. It was Cope or whatever it was. You know what I mean? And like having cracks at the people for their age, and maybe it's like W said, "Oh, rein that in. You don't want to, destroy Oba and be like, well, you've only had X amount. Like Cena did with Logan, basically. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Maybe they can't do that because obviously Oba is the golden goose. But maybe they're saying a little
But
bit
you're
different.
handcuffing a guy like Ricky when you do that because that's his strong suit. The zingers is
Exactly.
his
Yeah.
strong suit. He's not imposing enough to get to threaten over. So what does he really have to even offer us a true, feeling that he can beat over if he can't even get the one liners that we know he can do off. And if you didn't watch AEW, you don't really think Ricky got much of anything to be honest, based on the
Yeah.
way he's been presented in NXT. So
Yeah.
it goes
And
back to what I was saying about Hendry and Marshall too. It's like, are we doing this? Or like you said, maybe even with Blake in a sense, Like now this crazy side of Blake, we're gonna try to make her do something similar to what she did to Tony, but under the NXT banner to make sure we got it for us, for the NXT fans.
Mm.
Like it's the same thing going on with Ricky to where we gotta break him down completely just to make him build something different for us. I don't know. But if that is the case, I don't like it.
No, no, and again, it dates back a long, long time as well. You know, for most talent, when they come from rival promotions, whether we like it or not, not everybody is a Cody Rhodes. You know, just gets that kind of
Right.
instant trajectory. That's the thing. And I did like Grayson Waller trying to, maybe pitch himself for the new NXT general manager by making these matches. You know, because it's like, oh, Grayson,
You
all
need
right,
something
Grayson,
to
yeah,
do. Oh,
yeah, come
great.
on.
You need some TV time.
I just want Ava to have him as another assistant and just start, you know what I mean? Like have 20 assistants who are just not doing anything. You know what I mean? People who are just waiting around. Speaking of people, Bobby Roode, yes, the glorious one made an appearance. I hope the no reaction was a joke. I'm just hoping they did
They
that.
had to be ribbing him, man. I know he's a
Yeah.
producer, and they muted the volume. They had to do him
Yeah.
like that because if not, that's just horrible. Because
That
they
was
produced him to
crickets.
react to the pop and everything.
I mean, he did his glorious chant, and then he said his name, and Joe Hendry appeared, and the Bobster shook Joe Hendry's hand. Lexus King was in the ring. He said the black and gold era was overrated. All right, mate. He wants a lights out
Coming
match
from
with
you,
Miles. Yeah, yeah. No, I enjoy your blindfold match with Miles at the moment. That's the era, isn't it? But he wants the lights out match with Miles. The lights then went out, and Finn Balor returned to NXT. Miles arrived to take out King with Balor hitting the coup de grace. But again, it was so weird seeing some of the juxtaposition of like a heel Balor comes back to NXT and he's just the man. Do you know what I mean?
hmm
Like,
man. He was so good with that music and the interest, and like you could tell, like not only could you tell he was enjoying that version of himself being back, but it's like I saw immediately online people crying and just begging for like maybe another run of that version of him back, and it's and it's one of those things like you either become the coolest thing ever or like something very memorable as a heel, or you get stripped of everything that makes you cool because they want to make you a heel. And so
yeah,
it's just like even though I do love Finn as a heel. I think obviously he's not necessarily just as Judgment Day, but like even in NXT his heel run was really really great. So I don't get me wrong. I just think that it's something different about the leather jacket posing with the entrance, and of course, I thought so too when they brought the even some of like Charlotte's old NXT music back. I like, damn man, we was in a great place with the with the old music because Finn feels like such a superstar with the old music compared to what he is now, which is not so special. So yeah, man,
do you know? Do you know what? Even
it's
you
just
mentioned it, I
different.
realised he came out to the old music, and that's how into it I was. I was like, yeah, he doesn't actually have that anymore, does he?
Right,
Like,
yeah, he doesn't even use that
fucking
music.
hell.
That's my point. Like they stripped all of that. That you go
Yeah.
like, yeah, just like Rebel Heart and all like no one will survive for Champa. Like, yeah,
Uh,
all of that stuff that made them so unique and cool during their runs got changed and got flipped. And it's just I don't see how you can watch the way they look and way they're presented on NXT and want to do anything different because, like you said,
mm,
he just felt like a superstar again that fast. So it's crazy.
yeah, it really is. Backstage, the Dark State were interrupted by Montez Ford. He says they have targets on their back. And Bianca Belair was shown in the crowd, and Tiffany Stratton wasn't cleared, so Lyra took her spot. Why no EO Sky? I love Lyra, but like you said, fuck me. It was only like
Yeah,
a hop and a skip since she was in here.
come on, man. That's my biggest key. Like I said, to Oscar earlier, the EO is great, but yeah, it's like we had. Could you not reflect three different eras of NXT? In my opinion, with your picks, because like that would have been nice too. Like I know a chunk of the women may be gone or maybe doing other things now or whatever, but we could have definitely reflected this way better. I know Bailey was going through her transition, but even Bailey, maybe a return of the blow up doll things or whatever would have been cool just
Mm.
for a night, and that also could have played into the jumping from each character that she's going through on the main roster too. She could have did that. Either way it goes, I would have loved to see, like I said, a different era reflected because, like you said, most this if you just watch everybody represented there, you could have just been watching NXT the last 5 years and you've seen all of them on NXT.
Yeah, it was weird, but we got Fatal Influence versus Ray Ripley, Roxanne Perez, and Lyra Valkyria. Fatal Influence attacked their opponents as they were making an entrance to get an early advantage. Once they had Stephanie alone, they triple teamed her and almost won moments after the bell rang. But with a little help from Lola Vice, Ripley was able to get the win for a team with the Riptide. Um, I mean, what were your thoughts on this, Monty?
It was good. I mean, I didn't mind it. I thought it was a nice showcase. It was what it was. Again, I was kind of like, you kind of hope for a little bit more, but I thought for what I was expecting, it was decent, and it kind of showcased a little bit of at least a taste of what we come to become used to when it comes to NXT's women's division. But again, I'm not gonna try to go too. I don't want to be too dramatic or too hung up on like what we could have gotten if we really wanted to celebrate. Because I do think at the end of the day, this still was a pretty decent, pretty good tribute show overall when we think about what we got. But yeah, man, I mean, I feel like I'd just be nitpicking if I went into what probably would have been funner for me as a long time fan. But I thought they did okay.
Yeah, but again, I think it felt a lot. Again, it's I know it's 10 years of looking back, but it just showed us what NXT is missing. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like with certain things, it was just weird to be like, well, they're pointing out what we actually haven't got. Like I said, the women's division is great, but it's the other stuff. Like
yeah. Yeah,
that was
man.
the issue.
We have kind of fallen off in a lot of ways. I feel like we mention a version of this every week, so maybe some fans who listen to us every time we do an NXT pod like, oh my god, these old guys are always talking about this, but it really is true. It's like this was only a taste of what we had kind of become accustomed to when we talking about different eras in NXT. Like we didn't even really scratch the surface. So, but again, I do think the positives that we do have are indeed that they are indeed the positives, and they are very positive. But yeah, man, it does kind of just like when you think about this, and this is always it's always the danger. They even kind of done they in the past when WWE wasn't so loaded on the roster or were failing to make new stars when they would do tribute shows and you would just listen to the pops for the Austins or listen to the pops for DX and some of
Yeah.
the other old, old time gimmicks and stuff, and you would just be like, "Wow, man, that just feels like leaps and bounds different than what we're used to." And yeah, man, we used to see that. We used to get that every week, and now it's like, especially in the male division, it's definitely kind of shown through because it's just like, man, we are very top heavy in that division compared to where we had mid card stars, we had
Mm.
guys who we knew would probably be future world champions, and then we had, a great tag division. I mean, think about the teams that we didn't even scratch on because you had different eras for different teams, even though we know a lot of those teams didn't end up being much bigger than they were in NXT. But that's why it would have been nice to see, even like just to be recent. Why no we couldn't Fracture didn't have nothing to do. They're not booked. Fracture,
Mm.
like we could have had even more of that. So yeah, man, as a longtime fan, it was one of those watches where I was like, okay, cool, but at the same time, it's no like, it definitely reminded you of like where we were.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'll get your thoughts on NXT on this update in a second. But the worst thing to ever happened on Impact, and that and I'm not kidding. It is the worst thing to ever happen because Mike Santana was in the ring and got attacked by Ridge fucking Holland. So again, I thought he was done in NXT, but he is
He
Mike
is,
standing
hopefully.
in Mike Santana's away. I suppose he is done in NXT, right? But Mike Santana, Ridge Holland looks like they might face off at Victory Road, which would be
Yeah.
TNA's last show before Bound for Glory. And man, the Impact are testing my patience at the moment, Monty. I'm not gonna
I think
lie.
they're testing Mike Santana. He definitely the guy. He get us an entertaining Ridge Holland match. Oh man, he the guy. He's the guy of the future if he gives us a great Ridge Holland appearance, which might be asking way too much. But anyway, yeah, I saw that, and at this point, man, again, I know we said it, and I don't like being distasteful because I don't want people to lose their job. And so I don't want people to lose their job. But man, 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 it just reminds me of when they were just doing whatever they could to give Von Wagner something to do
Hmm.
before he ended up in Ring of Honor. So I don't know if Ring of Honor would even want Ridge Holland, but at this point, I don't know. I think that might be next. But hey, maybe he'll catch lightning in a bottle in Impact.
Oh
Maybe.
God. Well, that's something to look forward to the next update, Rich and Mike. But that is basically it for now. But Monty, what are your thoughts on NXT this update? Because Heatwave seems a long time ago, but it's not
Yeah.
really been a lot happening since. Do you know? I know we've
Mm-mm.
had Homecoming with Building Towards No Mercy, but there wasn't a lot post. You know what I
That's
mean?
partially
Heatwave.
that's probably partially why I didn't really remember coming into this if we talked about it because it wasn't really like it happened and it was a decent show and then so far pretty much since then we kind of been in the same place more or less. I'm really interested in where we're going. I know that we don't have the deepest male division and I understand it, but when you got Javon and you have Over right now basically being a good babyface. I'm really interested to see where we going long term for Ricky. Because right now, if they're not gonna let him do what he do, I think his strong suit as a babyface. I hate to say it, but he might have to pivot because I don't really see this version of him. No matter what happens in the match next week, I don't really see this version of Ricky Saints becoming champion, especially against Oba. So I don't know, but overall. I think we're kind of in a similar place. The women's division has also kind of taken an overall step back to me, but I guess that's kind of expected when someone as talented as Stephanie and with Julia, like where we were, we had that talent. It's kind of expected for it to be not as entertaining or as hot. But I do think we still have a more than enough women on the shows and more than enough storyline that they are still kind of doing what they've been doing when it comes to the ladies. They're nowhere close to the weak part. We all know where we are with the weak spot. Like I mentioned earlier, we need to flesh out the tag division. We definitely need more character and ring work for much of the men to establish. Let me tell you, to break down where I feel like we are with a lot of the men roster. I miss Tony D, and there you
Oh
go.
my word. Well,
At
that
least
is
he was
sad
interested.
times.
Like at
No, it's
least he
true.
was interested, man.
Yeah, no, we are missing a lot from the top, but maybe it will all change now with the I'm going to say it invasion of TNA
Oh my
talent. It's
God, you said
happening.
it.
It's happening. They're going to invade. It's going to be NXT versus TNA. We're going to love it. It's going to go back to the glory days. Or maybe not. Who knows? But we'll be there no matter what. I mean that's the thing. I think we found out with 10 years or 5 years, we are still here for NXT every month
I'm
with
telling
no
them that
mercy.
maybe they'll be more consistent if they stop assuming we'll be there either
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Yeah, they'd be like, someone's watching it week in, week out. Like, oh my god. Uh, but that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Monty, where can people find and follow you?
Like I said, at my Monty Pod on Twitter, that's where I am primarily. You can check me out there and get any updates on what I'm doing and what I'm thinking wrestling related content. So yeah, that's what I'm at.
And the Dublin also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email at Podcast at gmail.com. And YouTube, the Dublin Podcast. We are celebrating 10 years of the WNR with shorts, universe modes, and clips from any event we go to. We just had, well, it's not official yet, but it's going to be our biggest month on YouTube. We have just passed 750,000 views as well. 1,500 subscribers. We'd like to thank everybody for this, go and check out the Peacemaker intro short, which I know is doing well. And also, Monty, I just want to mention to you, obviously, I'm doing my universe. I don't talk about. I've got Stand and Deliver. We're doing Stand and Deliver this week, and my main event is Trick Williams versus Obafemi. Because in my universe, they haven't met one on one yet. So I think that is a match
Nice,
that I went to. Yeah, yeah,
nice. We'll see.
yeah.
I mean, I don't bet against even the game versus over. So
Well, we'll
good
see what
luck,
happens.
Trick.
Trick is the champion, so see if Oba can do it. And again, all sorts of stuff on YouTube, also on SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, well, we've got a busy couple of weeks because the next episode will be AEW All Out, and then the following week will be WrestlePalooza. And we're going to do it like that because, well, that's the way it came, I suppose. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, thank you for joining me for yet another NXT update.
I appreciate you, and I also appreciate you separating those two shows. It would have been nice if that would have happened. Legitimately, man, you can do two big wrestling shows a week apart. It wouldn't be a problem. Not the same night.
I know.
Anyway, yeah, fun
I know.
show.
Yeah, I did think about the 6 hour double feature, but I thought against it. I thought, no, I don't think the girls will appreciate it.
Oh my god,
So we'll leave it there.
Jesus, what
Uh,
kind of psychopath are you?
oh, God, I know. Let's